He quickly said respectfully, Murong Planet Controller Family Chiao Fei welcome Senior. Has the Qianyang Heavenly Cave opened? The young man's voice was so cold that people couldn't help but tremble. Senior, it opened 3 days ago. The family head sent a message saying that there are 3 late golden core cultivators who are suspected to have obtained the inheritance. Moreover, the 3 of them are very skilled at disguising themselves. The family head is currently sending people to search for their tracks, the Chiao family elder replied respectfully. A cold glint flashed in the young man's eyes as he said coldly, tell your family head to immediately gather all golden core and nascent soul cultivators on this planet here. All of them. The Chiao family elder was stunned. Is there a problem? Yes. The late nascent soul stage Chiao Fei didn't dare to raise any more questions and hurriedly sent a message to the family head, Chiao Xian. In less than 5 minutes, Chiao Xian, Feng Si, Fu Zai, Zheng Yuqing, and thousands of other cultivators had arrived. They had rushed here from Qianyang City, which was 50,000 kilometers away. Seeing the young man's purple Daoist robe, the expressions of Chiao Xian and the others changed. Although they had already received the message, seeing it with their own eyes now was even more shocking. This was a primordial soul cultivator from the Purple Heaven sect. The Purple Heaven sect was one of the core 3 gates and 6 sects of the Tao Alliance. It was a colossus in the universe. Although this primordial soul cultivator looked young, he might have already lived for thousands of years. The 4 of them didn't dare to delay and hurriedly bowed respectfully. Chiao Xian, Fu Zai, Feng Si, and Zheng Yuqing greet Senior. My name is Daoist Changbai. The young man said expressionlessly. The 4 of them bowed again. What's the current situation in Qianyang Grotto Heaven? Daoist Changbai's gaze locked onto Chiao Xian. Chiao Xian didn't dare to hide anything and described the situation of Qianyang Grotto Heaven, which was almost completely destroyed. At the same time, golden core and even nascent soul cultivators continuously arrived. Under the strict orders and coercive methods of the Chiao family, they came from all over Murong Planet to this wasteland where the interstellar transportation array was located. Soon, the number exceeded 10,000 and was still increasing. After hearing Chiao Xian's description, Daoist Changbai remained silent. Facing a primordial soul cultivator of such a background, no one dared to speak. Until night fell. Close to 20,000 cultivators had already gathered in the wasteland with a radius of 10 kilometers. Almost all of them were at the golden core stage, with only a dozen or so at the nascent soul stage. Among these cultivators, there were more than 10,000 local cultivators. There were also more than 5,000 foreign cultivators who had been found and forcibly brought here. Chiao Xian said respectfully, Senior Changbai, all the local and foreign cultivators of Murong Planet are basically here. There are still a few who live in seclusion and are currently being searched. As he said this, he was extremely puzzled. He didn't know what this primordial soul cultivator from the Purple Heaven sect wanted. Daoist Changbai was expressionless as he stood in the air, his indifferent gaze sweeping across the wasteland. At this moment, the wasteland was extremely noisy and chaotic. The cultivators who had been forcibly gathered here by the Chiao family looked at the group of powerful figures in front of the interstellar transportation array. Some were dissatisfied, some were curious, and most were terrified. They didn't know what would happen. Daoist Changbai snorted coldly. Rumble. Under the night sky, thunder rumbled and dark clouds covered the sky. A suppressive force that seemed to originate from heaven and earth enveloped the wasteland with a radius of 10 kilometers. Those noisy cultivators seemed to have been cast with a body-fixing spell, and all of them were rooted to the spot. They couldn't move, couldn't speak, and only had fear in their eyes. They had been completely imprisoned. There was a deathly silence. Chiao Xian, Fu Zai, Feng Si, and Zheng Yuqing were all experienced and knowledgeable people. Especially Feng Si and Zheng Yuqing. Both of them came from top immortal sects, and their respective masters were all primordial soul cultivators. Therefore, They were well aware of the means of a primordial soul cultivator. The four of them were shocked, but more so bewildered. They were all trying to guess what Taoist Changbai was up to. Chapter 281. On a 10,000-meter-high mountain 100 miles away. Jiang Xi hid himself and only used the corner of his eye to observe Taoist Changbai and the wasteland where the interstellar transportation portal was. There were nearly 20,000 cultivators in the wasteland with a radius of 10 kilometers. Other than Xiao Xian and the others, the rest were all imprisoned in place. He and the Wen siblings were 100 miles away from the interstellar transportation portal, so they were not restrained by Taoist Changbai. What is he trying to do? Jiang Xi frowned and had a bad feeling. At this moment, he saw Taoist Changbai move in the air. This nascent soul stage cultivator with a handsome face and a slightly sinister aura reached out and grabbed at the air in front of everyone. A mid-Aurus core stage cultivator uncontrollably flew out of the crowd and landed in front of Taoist Changbai like a puppet. To be more specific, the top of this person's head happened to be in the palm of Taoist Changbai's outstretched hand. On the surface, Taoist Changbai did not do anything else. However, in just 10 seconds, the mid-Aurus core stage cultivator's breathing went from stable to disorderly and then to completely silent. He was dead. Taoist Changbai's expression did not change as he casually tossed the corpse aside. Then, he repeated his actions and grabbed in the air. Another late Aurus core stage cultivator flew out of the crowd. 10 seconds later, another person died. Soul search. Jiang Xi's eyes narrowed. It was an extremely domineering soul search that did not care about the life or death of the person being searched. He was very familiar with this situation. This was because he had studied the soul search technique from Taoist Ji's inherited memories and had already mastered it. He's looking for something. When he saw Taoist Changbai complete the soul search on 10 golden core stage cultivators in just 2 or 3 minutes as if he was catching chickens, this thought surfaced in Jiang Xi's mind. Purple Heaven Sect. Could he be looking for something left behind by Master? Only the Purple Heaven Sword Manual could be so important to him. Several clues were connected in his mind. First, when he first became Taoist Ji's disciple, Taoist Ji's first task was to deliver the Purple Heaven Sword Manual to the Purple Heaven sect within 100 years. Secondly, the Violet Firmament Sword Manual was one of the most important inheritances of the Violet Firmament sect. Just by looking at its name, one would know. The Violet Firmament Sword Manual was named after the Violet Firmament, so how could it not be important? Taoist Gu was the only inheritor of the Purple Firmament Sword Sutra. If he died, the inheritance would be severed. Thirdly, 10,000 years ago, Taoist Gu had once protected the previous ruler of Murong Planet, the Wen clan. Taoist Gu had even contributed greatly to the establishment of the Wen clan's ancestral land. Shizuan tricked me. This was the third time Jiang Xi lamented. Earlier, before he had entered Qianyang Cave, he had learned an important piece of information from the Wen siblings. More than 6,000 years ago, when Taoist Gu died in the Heaven and Earth Spirit Lock formation, his life slip shattered. Half a day later, the Taoist child of the Wen clan's ancestor, Wen Yan, who was also the ancestor of the Qiao clan, Qiao Changsheng, arrived with 3 mysterious primordial soul stage cultivators. Taoist Ji's protection of the Wen clan was wiped out. After that, the Qiao clan took over the Magpie's Nest and became the new ruler of Murong Planet. How did Qiao Changsheng learn of Taoist Ji's death so accurately and in such a timely manner? Moreover, Taoist Ji's life slip could only be found in the Wen clan and the Purple Heaven sect. The life and death of a Tao integration expert was definitely a big secret. The Wen clan would not be foolish enough to leak the news of Taoist Ji's death. The answer to who leaked the news was self-evident. 3 days ago, Jiang Xi had accidentally overheard a conversation between Feng Si and the others and learned another important piece of information. For more than 6,000 years, the Qiao clan had turned Murong Planet, which belonged to the Tao Alliance, into a private territory. However, the Tao Alliance had never pursued this matter. The Tao Alliance's heavenly court office on Murong planet was like a decoration. Even the Four Symbols sect, which ruled the Minglan star region, did not want to provoke the Qiao clan on Murong planet. One must know that Murong planet belonged to the Minglan star region and was under the jurisdiction of the Four Symbols sect. All of this pointed to a single point. Behind the Qiao clan stood the Purple Heaven sect. Only this colossus that ruled the Zixiao region could cause the Four Symbols sect to be wary of it. After all, the Minglan star region was within the Zixiao region. The destruction of the Wen clan more than 6,000 years ago was for the Purple Heaven sword scripture. Or was it purely for the sake of destroying those related to Master? Or was it for both purposes? Taoist Changbai was so cruel that he treated human lives like grass and killed people like chickens. If I go to the Purple Heaven sect, I'm afraid I'll be treated the same way, right? Jiang Xi felt helpless. He claimed to be the disciple of a Tao integration expert, but Taoist Gu was already gone. Without a backer, there was no point in saying anything. If he went to the Purple Heaven sect like a fool, the result was predictable. For the Purple Heaven sword scripture, the people of the Purple Heaven sect would definitely search his soul. This was because they could not be sure if the Purple Heaven sword scripture that Jiang Xi took out was complete. Only by searching his soul would they be able to guarantee its authenticity. When Yoxin and Wen Feng turned to look at Jiang Xi, both of them were full of worry. They were not worried about the Purple Heaven sect, but how to leave. Taoist Changbai's appearance made them lose their chance to take action. How could they teleport under the nose of a nascent soul cultivator? 20 minutes passed in the blink of an eye. Taoist Changbai was still searching the soul of a golden core cultivator in 10 seconds as if he was killing chickens. He did not even take the time to grab the person. Hundreds of golden core cultivators had already died from his domineering soul searching. At this rate, close to 20,000 cultivators would be buried in the wilderness in 3 days at most. Due to the restraints, these people couldn't speak or move. The fear in their eyes grew stronger and stronger. They could only wait for death to descend. Anger and despair. Feng Si, Fu Zai, and Zhen Yuqing kept quiet out of fear, their faces even turning pale. They did not expect that this nascent soul cultivator from the Purple Heaven sect would be so cruel. Previously in the Qianyang Grotto Heaven, the four factions joined forces to kill more than 10,000 cultivators in order to fight for the opportunity. Each of them killed an average of 10 people. Although it was cruel, it was definitely not as cruel as this Taoist Changbai who wanted to kill 20,000 people alone. He was 1,000 times more ruthless than them. They were also guessing that Taoist Changbai might be looking for something. Perhaps he was not looking for the Tao integration inheritance of the Qianyang Grotto Heaven. After all, the number of Tao integration cultivators in the Purple Heaven sect was not small. As a nascent soul cultivator of the Purple Heaven sect, Taoist Changbai did not need to do such a cruel thing for a Tao integration inheritance. Compared to the three of them, Qiao Xian was the apparent ruler of the Murong planet. While they were frightened, they were more indifferent and even delighted. Because of the 20,000 cultivators, more than 10,000 of them were native cultivators of the Murong planet. It would be best if they were all dead. Then, the Qiao clan would be able to monopolize all the cultivation resources of this fourth-grade life-preserving planet. The only pity was that because of Taoist Changbai's appearance, the Wen clan's inheritance might not be fated with the Qiao clan. Chapter 282. Jiang Xi was also worried about the problem of leaving Murong planet. If Taoist Changbai was doing this for the Purple Cloud Sword scripture, then the purpose of this wanton soul-searching was very obvious. It must be to search for the person who obtained the Wen clan's inheritance in Qianyang Grotto Heaven. Which was him and the Wen clan siblings. He wanted to see if he could find the Purple Cloud Sword scripture through the three of them. What was certain was that this Taoist Changbai didn't know whether Taoist Gu had left the Purple Cloud Sword scripture here, and was just holding on to a glimmer of hope. However, Jiang Xi was very clear that even if Daoist Chang Bai soul-searched all the 20,000 cultivators, he wouldn't get anything. Unless he could find him and the Wen clan siblings. Therefore, this was the problem that Jiang Xi was most worried about. If after Daoist Chang Bai soul-searched, he didn't find the 3 people who had obtained the inheritance among those people, he would definitely guess that the 3 of them were still hiding somewhere on Murong planet. At that time, this nascent soul cultivator would very likely make the same choice as the Qiao clan and search the entire Murong planet. Even if he was more ruthless, he would also kill the Qiao clan. A nascent soul cultivator's spiritual sense could easily cover thousands of kilometers. Under this kind of search, if he and the Wen clan siblings were still on Murong planet, there was nowhere to hide. Even a high-grade spiritual artifact disguise mask would lose its effect in front of Daoist Chang Bai. In the end, he could conclude that this was a dead end. What to do? Jiang Xi's brows were tightly knitted, his mind turning rapidly, trying to keep calm. At this time, the Qiao clan people were still searching all over Murong planet, forcibly bringing some cultivators who were hiding, or even in closed-door cultivation, here. Scattered, the number of people was still increasing by a small margin. Soon, 2 days passed. On the wasteland where Murong planet's interstellar teleportation array was located, there were more than 4,000 Jindan cultivators. However, there were even more dead people. In this wasteland, there were more than 10,000 corpses piled up into a mountain. On the wasteland, there was a deathly silence. There were no rivers of blood, only gusts of cold wind. Incomparably terrifying Daoist Chang Bai was still repeating the soul-searching actions, his expression didn't change. From his performance, he wouldn't give up until he achieved his goal. On the 3rd day, the sky was bright. However, no one felt the slightest bit of warmth from the light. Even Xiao Xian and the other 3 were completely stunned. Tens of thousands of people had died in the war, and watching one person indifferently slaughter tens of thousands of people. The feeling it brought was completely different. Finally, the expression on Priest Chang Bai's face changed. He frowned slightly. He had already searched the souls of more than 10,000 people, but he still hadn't found the 3 golden core cultivators who had obtained the inheritance in Qianyang Cave Heaven. However, when he saw that there were still 6,000 to 7,000 people left, and that the Qiao clan was still sending over some of the fish that had escaped the net, he was shocked. Daoist Chang Bai's brows relaxed. Just kill them all. In his heart, even the lives of 1 trillion people were not as important as the purple firmament sword scripture. 1 trillion people, which was the number of life forms on 100 life planets. The Zixiao sect, on the other hand, was a massive immortal Dao sect that ruled over the entire Zixiao region. The number of planets under his control couldn't even be measured in terms of hundreds of millions. Therefore, the lives of these 20,000 people were not worth mentioning when compared to the important inheritance of the Purple Heaven sect. So be it. Daoist Chang Bai coldly reached out and grabbed another late-stage golden core cultivator. He was about to search his soul. However, at that moment, the nearby interstellar transportation formation lit up. His movements paused. Everyone's attention was drawn over. They were puzzled. Who would be teleporting over at this time? The light of the transportation formation dissipated, and a figure appeared in the interstellar transportation formation. It was a middle-aged man with a tuft of beard on his chin. His eyes were full of vicissitudes of life, and he gave off a dignified yet kind feeling. However, the most eye-catching thing was not his appearance. Instead, it was the aura of a nascent soul cultivator. Everyone was shocked. Even Daoist Chang Bai frowned again. When he saw this person, Xiao Xian felt that things were getting more and more out of hand. The first to react were the disciples of the Four Symbols sect. Hundreds of disciples, led by Zheng Yuqing, flew over and bowed. Greetings, sect master. The newcomer was the sect master of the Four Symbols sect, Shan. Then, Xiao Xian, Fu Zai, Feng Si, and the other nascent soul cultivators also bowed. In terms of status, Ishan was not inferior to Daoist Chang Bai. After all, the Four Symbols sect was a top immortal Tao sect that ruled an entire star region. Ishan nodded slightly, then turned his dignified gaze to Taoist Changbai. Changbai, that's enough. Do you know what I'm looking for? Taoist Changbai replied coldly. The only one on the Murong planet that's related to the Purple Heaven sect is the Wen clan that was sheltered by Senior Gu 10,000 years ago. The Wen clan's Qianyang cave has just opened. I'm sure you're looking for something left behind by Senior Gu, right? Ishan chuckled. Since you know, why are you stopping me? Taoist Changbai asked. Ishan did not answer directly. Instead, he used his spiritual sense to speak. The Murong planet is a planet of life in the Minglan star region. Nominally, it's under the jurisdiction of the Four Symbols sect. You've massacred the cultivators of the Murong planet and these foreign cultivators. If word gets out, where will I put my face as the sect master of the Four Symbols sect? Where will the Four Symbols sect put its face? Taoist Changbai's expression was cold and unmoved. This was because Ishan's reason was obviously untenable. Just for face. How many people who have lived for thousands of years care about face? Ishan continued to speak. You're soul-searching just to find something left behind by Senior Gu. Maybe it's on someone here. I have a suggestion. Let these people swear to the natural law that they didn't find anything left behind by Senior Gu on the Murong planet. If they don't dare to swear to the natural law, there must be something wrong with them. In this way, you'll achieve your goal and the Four Symbols sect's face will be saved, right? After the conversation, Ishan wore a smile on his face. No one could tell what he was thinking. Taoist Changbai was expressionless, but he had to admit that Ishan's suggestion was feasible. Cultivators didn't swear easily because it was a taboo. Because cultivators were different from ordinary people. With spiritual force and soul sense, they would have some kind of connection with heaven and earth. Especially when they swore to the natural law would respond when the oath was completed. Once violated, the oath would definitely take effect. Taoist Changbai had considered letting these people swear before, but he thought it was too troublesome and not as fast as soul-searching. In the face of Ishan's suggestion, he thought about it and finally nodded in agreement. Of course, there was another main reason. He was a little wary of Ishan because Ishan was not far from Tao integration. Furthermore, he was only at the early stage essence soul realm. In the next moment, dark thunder rumbled in heaven and earth. At that moment, there were still close to 10,000 cultivators who had yet to be soul-searched who were released by Taoist Changbai. These people were terrified but did not dare to escape. Chapter 283. Looking at the panicking cultivators in the wasteland, Ishan chuckled and said loudly, "If you want to live, come and line up to make an oath. Swear to the heavenly Tao that you didn't obtain anything left behind by Taoist Gu of the Purple Heaven sect on Murong planet. Otherwise, you'll be struck by lightning and die." His words spread throughout the wasteland. On a 10,000-meter tall mountain 100 miles away, Jiang Xi's eyes lit up. Although he didn't know what kind of confrontation the two nascent soul cultivators had just had, it was obvious that his opportunity had come. "I still have to observe and see what the situation is like." Jiang Xi remained calm. He also signaled the Wen siblings to calm down and not be agitated. At the same time, the nearly 10,000 cultivators who had just been released by Taoist Changbai and were still in a state of panic were overjoyed. Although swearing to the heavenly Tao was a taboo, it was definitely not a problem to make this oath. Because they really didn't obtain anything left behind by Taoist Gu. Therefore, everyone hurriedly lined up. They were very orderly and didn't fight for anything. Taoist Changbai frowned slightly. He felt that Ishan had ulterior motives, but he didn't find anything wrong. Was it really just for face? First of all, there was definitely nothing wrong with this oath. It could indeed filter out the three people who had obtained the inheritance in Qianyang Grotto Heaven. Secondly, with his cultivation, he had already comprehended a Tao of heaven and earth. He could sense the fluctuation between heaven and earth when these cultivators completed their oaths. Therefore, he didn't have to worry about people making false oaths. From this point of view, Yishan's actions were also considered for him. Because Yishan had taken the initiative to ask these people to line up and make the oath. The only thing was that in terms of efficiency, this method was much slower. Soul search one person every 10 seconds. One person every half a minute. In a day, less than 3,000 people could complete it. After thinking about it, Taoist Chang Bai didn't say anything. After all, he had already promised Yishan. Soon, everyone was in line. One by one, they swore in front of Yishan and Taoist Chang Bai, "I, Dainu, swear to the heavenly Tao that I'm not on Murong planet. Otherwise, I'll be struck by lightning and die." "I, Wang Er," loud voices sounded one after another, echoing in the wasteland. After everyone completed their oaths, because no one said anything, they didn't dare to leave. They gathered on the other side of the wasteland. It's about time. After watching for a day, when more than 3,000 people had completed the oath, no one had died because of it. Jiang Xi made up his mind. He didn't use his spiritual sense, but signaled the Wen siblings to follow him with his eyes. Then, the three of them quietly descended from the 10,000-meter-tall mountain without making any noise. He returned to the valley below. The teleportation formation he had set up earlier was still intact. "Fortunately, I didn't destroy the teleportation array when I came." Jiang Xi secretly rejoiced. Then, he formed a hand seal to activate the formation. The three of them disappeared into the light of the teleportation formation in an instant. The 10,000-meter-tall mountain happened to block the light. But in the end, when the teleportation was completed, the ripples spread out. 100 miles away, Taoist Chang Bai and Yishan both frowned and disappeared. In the next instant, he appeared in the sky above the valley. Teleportation array. As soon as the two of them arrived, they saw the small teleportation array in the valley. Right at this moment, the transport formation trembled lightly. A portion of it shattered and was destroyed. A cold light flashed in Taoist Chang Bai's eyes. His spiritual sense instantly spread out 3,000 kilometers. He carefully examined the area, but in the end, he didn't find anyone who had just finished teleporting. The only thing he found was that on the 10,000-meter-tall mountain next to him, there were still faint remnants of the aura of 3 cultivators. It seemed that they had stayed there for a long time. Taoist Chang Bai was a little angry. There were actually 3 people who had been hiding right under his nose for 3 days, and then they had just swaggered away by teleporting away. "Sect Master Yishan, did you find anything?" Taoist Chang Bai asked coldly. With his early-stage nascent soul cultivation, the limit of his spiritual sense was 3,000 kilometers. Yishan, on the other hand, was in the late-stage nascent soul realm. His spiritual sense could reach 10,000 kilometers. It seems that the other party is very cunning. Yishan shook his head. His gaze inadvertently swept across the teleportation formation that had self-destructed, and he seemed to be deep in thought. Killing intent appeared in Taoist Chang Bai's eyes. A sword chi shot out and landed in the valley. Boom! The earth cracked, and the entire valley and the surrounding mountains all collapsed. The mountains were moved and the sea was filled. The mountain range quickly turned into a large swamp. The chill on Taoist Chang Bai's body shot straight into the sky. Then, his figure flashed, and he returned to the wasteland where the interstellar teleportation formation was. "Qiao Xian, increase the search. If there's a single golden core cultivator missing, I'll destroy your Qiao clan." Taoist Chang Bai said coldly. Qiao Xian's expression changed abruptly. He hurriedly sent a message to the clan members in charge of the search. At this time, there were still more than 5,000 cultivators left in the wasteland who hadn't taken the oath. In addition, the Qiao clan members were still constantly bringing golden core cultivators from all over planet Murong to this place. Taoist Chang Bai didn't give up on screening these people. This was because he couldn't be sure if the ones who had escaped through the teleportation formation were the 3 people who had received the inheritance. About 10,000 kilometers away, on a barren island in the easternmost sea of planet Murong. Jiang Xi had just teleported here when he destroyed the small teleportation formation in front of him with a single palm strike. He had previously set up 10 small teleportation formations, excluding the 6 near the interstellar teleportation formation. This one was the closest to the one in the valley. The time required to teleport was also the shortest. If he teleported to other places, such as the one in the small courtyard in Qianyang City, the distance would be a full 108,000 kilometers, and the teleportation time would definitely be longer. He might be discovered before the teleportation was even successful. Therefore, he chose to teleport here. Whether or not we can leave planet Murong will depend on this. Take off your disguise masks and don't hide anything. Use your true faces. Jiang Xi said to the Wen clan siblings when Yoxin and Wen Feng nodded and took off their masks, revealing their true faces. Both of them were quite good-looking. They looked like youths. The elder sister, Wen Yoxin, was dignified and gentle. She looked like a kind big sister next door. The younger brother, Wen Feng, also had a scholarly aura. He looked like a young scholar who was rushing to take the exam. We'll split up. If we can muddle our way through this time, we'll gather on planet Sanglan. Remember that, right? Jiang Xi said. Don't worry, Marshal Granduncle, the siblings said in unison. Then, the 3 of them split up and flew away from the island in 2 different directions. Jiang Xi's plan was very simple. They would find a city and purposely let the Qiao clan discover them. Then, they would borrow the Qiao clan's hands to go to that wasteland and muddle their way through. Therefore, they had to take off their disguise masks, which were only high-grade spirit artifacts. If they wore masks, with Daoist Chang Bai and Ishan, 2 nascent soul cultivators, their disguise would be useless. Their disguises would have no effect and would instead arouse suspicion. Chapter 284. The Wen siblings had always been wearing disguise masks and had never revealed their true appearances in front of outsiders. After taking off their masks, it was actually safer. However, there was a hidden danger in Riverward. When I first came to Murong Planet, the Qiao family had secretly followed me. There are many Qiao family cultivators in the wasteland. Maybe someone knows my true appearance. Jiang Xi thought for a moment. Dozens of fine sword rays appeared in his hand, and then he wiped his face. Instantly, dozens of hideous wounds appeared on his face, and blood flowed out. But his expression did not change, and he immediately used the true meaning of Li fire. A ball of dark red flame appeared in his hand, and he applied it to his face. Chi-chi, the sound of burning flesh and blood was heard. Those hideous wounds immediately condensed into scars. But it was not over yet. He used Gale to brush these scars many times. He completed the final aging process of the wind. After a few breaths, these scars became like they were left behind many years ago. His face was full of scars and full of bumps and hollows. It was unrecognizable. He changed his clothes and changed his hairstyle. Jiang Xi had completely changed. True appearance? This time, even Yoxin and Wenfeng can't recognize me. In order to survive, Jiang Xi also became ruthless. This operation damaged the foundation of the wounds on his face, and it was very difficult to recover. He could not recover until he reached the nascent soul stage. But compared to survival, what was appearance? Even if he had to cut off his limbs, he would still do it. Of course, Jiang Xi was not worried that he would be permanently disfigured. As long as he could escape this crisis, reaching the nascent soul stage was only a matter of time. Under Jiang Xi's hideous face, his gaze was incomparably resolute. Next, he had to fight. Staying on Murong Planet was waiting for death. If he went to the wasteland and fought, he might still have a chance to survive. He flew all the way, and soon arrived at a secular country near Murong Planet's far east sea. He did not hide his figure, and the aura of a late-stage Jindan spread out without restraint when he flew to a big city in this secular country. A group of Qiao family Jindan cultivators flew in front of him. A team of 10 golden elixir cultivators from the Qiao family did not give Jiang Xi any chance to resist. Relying on their numbers, they forcibly took Jiang Xi away. Of course, Jiang Xi was happy to see this, but he deliberately put on a fierce and angry look. He cursed along the way and deliberately slowed down. 15 minutes later, he was brought to the wasteland where the interstellar transportation portal was located. He had left the teleportation array in the valley and arrived here. Almost half a day had passed since then. At this moment, in the wilderness, the 5,000 cultivators who had completed their oaths stood at the side. On the other side, there were more than 4,000 golden core cultivators and more than 10 nascent soul cultivators who had not taken the oath. Everyone lined up and waited for the oath to be taken. After Riverward arrived, he was forcefully pressed into the team by someone. When he saw the figures of Daoist Changbai and Yishan, as well as the mountain of over 10,000 corpses, Jiang Xi pretended to be terrified. In reality, he was indeed a little nervous. Now he was dancing on the tip of a knife. Once he was exposed, he would not be able to escape. But he was still able to keep calm. He deliberately magnified the nervousness in his heart 100 times and turned it into panic. Therefore, on the surface, Jiang Xi's panic seemed very real and did not arouse any suspicion. However, his ferocious and terrifying appearance attracted a lot of attention. Soon, these gazes turned to other places. Because Jiang Xi's wound was very real. It was obvious that it was an old wound. Moreover, this kind of appearance was not an exception among so many cultivators. After all, only after reaching the nascent soul stage could one have the strength to heal such a wound that damaged one's foundation. At this point, Jiang Xi was secretly relieved. But he still maintained a high level of vigilance. When he was lining up, he did not dare to look directly at Daoist Changbai and Yishan. These two nascent soul stage cultivators did not restrain their powerful aura. They constantly brought a kind of pressure from the depths of one's soul, especially Yishan. His aura seemed to be about to merge with heaven and earth. It was frighteningly strong. Nascent soul stage, Jiang Xi was looking forward to it. But on the surface, he still pretended to be nervous. People lined up to take the oath one after another. In the wilderness, except for the voice of the oath, no one else dared to speak. After another half a day, Jiang Xi saw the Wen siblings flying over from afar with the people of the Qiao family. Then, the siblings were also forcibly arranged into the line. Both of them were full of fear. But their fear was, to a large extent, real. Therefore, in this case, they did not attract the attention of others. Many people had the same feeling. The Wen siblings had Jiangxi's instructions, so after they arrived, they didn't deliberately look for Jiangxi's figure. Of course, even if they wanted to find Jiang Xi, they could not find him. With Jiangxi's current malevolent and terrifying appearance, perhaps only Jiang Daodu would be able to recognize him. No one else would be able to. In this way, time passed. Another day passed. Finally, it was Jiang Xi's turn. Standing in front of the two nascent soul stage cultivators, Jiang Xi magnified the anxiety in his heart by 10,000 times. His body even trembled a little. He looked no different from the cultivators who had taken the oath before. I, Jiang Xi, swear to the heavens that I did not obtain the relics left behind by Daoist Gu of the Purple Heaven sect on Murong Planet. Otherwise, I will immediately be struck by lightning and die. There was no problem at all. An imperceptible fluctuation had descended upon Riverward's body from the darkness. The oath was completed. Daoist Changbai was expressionless. Yishan was still smiling. The Wen siblings in the crowd did not show any unusual reaction when they heard Jiang Xi's name. They had been hunted all year round, and their minds were very firm. In the end, Jiang Xi successfully passed. With a nervous look, he came to another part of the wilderness. The cultivators who had completed the oath were all gathered here. No one said anything, and no one dared to leave. Murong planet. I received master's inheritance on the first moon of Earth. Jiang Ci thought to himself. Thinking of this, a thought suddenly appeared in his mind. Why did it feel like there was a loophole in this oath? Why did he have to emphasize that he did not obtain Taoist Ge's inheritance on Murong planet? He glanced at Ishan of the Four Symbols sect from the corner of his eye. This oath template was said by this nascent soul stage cultivator. Jiang Ci was extremely surprised. Soon, another half a day passed. In the wilderness, except for the cultivators of the Qiao family, the Four Symbols sect, and the Zhangyan sect, everyone had made the same oath. And the people of the Qiao family who were searching all over Murong planet had not brought back any new cultivators for an entire day. Taoist Changbai's expression finally changed from indifference to gloominess. In the sky, dark thunder rumbled as if the end of the world was coming. Suddenly, everyone was silent as they felt a strong sense of danger. Qiao Xian, are you sure that all the Aurus core and nascent soul stage cultivators on Murong planet are here? Taoist Changbai's voice was cold. Chapter 285. Senior, our Qiao clan's cultivators are still trying their best to search. Qiao Xian was fearful but did not dare to make any guarantees. This was because it was indeed very difficult to find cultivators above the golden core stage if they really wanted to hide. For example, they could bury themselves 10,000 meters deep underground. Unless one used their spiritual sense to search inch by inch, it would be impossible to discover such a hiding spot. All of you, swear an oath as well. Taoist Changbai's face darkened as he looked at the 1,000-odd cultivators of the Qiao clan, Four Symbols sect, and Zhangyan sect, as well as the lone space hunter Fu Zhe. Everyone's expression changed. They had all entered the Qianyang grotto heaven. Ishan also frowned slightly, because there were more than 100 Four Symbols sect disciples inside. However, he did not stop them. Half a day later, these people also swore the same oath. At this point, everyone had passed the test of the oath. This also meant that no one in this wasteland had obtained Taoist Ge's inheritance on Murong planet. Taoist Changbai's aura was about to erupt. Dark thunder rumbled in the sky, as if the end of the world had come. Then, he said coldly to Qiao Xian, have your Qiao clan cultivators search inch by inch. Search the entire Murong planet. Even if they are hiding in the depths of the planet's core, find them. He could not be sure whether the 3 people who had escaped from the valley had been found by the Qiao clan and brought here, and had also sworn an oath. However, he was certain that there was something wrong with those 3. Qiao Xian was filled with helplessness, but he did not dare to refuse. He immediately sent a message to the clan members in charge of the search. At the same time, he sent out all the Qiao clan cultivators here. This was destined to be a vast search operation. Searching inch by inch would probably take more than 10 years. At this moment, Ishan said, Taoist Changbai, can these people who have sworn an oath disperse? I'm leaving with them. Taoist Changbai's gaze swept over the 10,000 cultivators before he finally nodded. Swearing an oath to the heavenly Tao proved that there was nothing wrong with these people. Disciples of the Four Symbols sect and those foreign cultivators, come out. Ishan said loudly. Many people were pleasantly surprised at his words. More than 2,000 people and 100 disciples of the Four Symbols sect flew out from the group and came before Ishan. Jiang Ci and the Wen siblings were also mixed in the crowd and were inconspicuous. Then, Ishan cupped his hands at Taoist Changbai and led the group into the interstellar transfer array. Taoist Changbai frowned slightly. He still felt that something was wrong. It was reasonable for Ishan to leave with the Four Symbols sect. But why did he have to bring along those foreign cultivators who were neither relatives nor friends? Could it be that Ishan was only doing this for the sake of his reputation? Wait! Taoist Changbai suddenly shouted. At this moment, Ishan was about to activate the teleportation formation. He looked somewhat displeased. Fellow Daoist Changbai, are you really not going to give me face? Daoist Changbai was slightly taken aback, and his tone softened a little. I would like to confirm it again. Please forgive me, Sect Master Ishan. Humph. Ishan didn't smile at him this time. He was unhappy. Daoist Changbai no longer cared about offending Ishan. He used the powerful consciousness of the nascent soul stage to carefully examine the 2,000 or so foreign cultivators and the 100 or so Four Symbols sect disciples. Among them were the unrecognizable Jiang Ci and the Wen siblings. After a quarter of an hour, the examination ended. Thank you, Sect Master Ishan. Daoist Changbai said with a sullen face. Ishan didn't say anything. He just snorted and activated the teleportation formation. His consciousness gathered a huge amount of heaven and earth spiritual chi from the surroundings. Immediately, the interstellar teleportation formation was activated. In the dazzling light, the 2,000 or so people were teleported away at the same time. Daoist Changbai looked at the empty interstellar teleportation formation. Sword chi flashed in his eyes. Is he not on Murong planet? He stayed on Murong planet for 3,000 years. It's impossible that he didn't leave anything behind. He's a formation expert, and those three people also know how to set up teleportation formations. There must be a connection between them. It's very likely that they got his inheritance. But no one who swore an oath just now showed any abnormalities. It means that those three people are still on this planet. We have to find them even if we have to dig 30,000 feet into the ground. Minglan planet and Kanglin planet were both grade 6 life planets, and they were both core planets of a star zone. But in terms of prosperity, Minglan planet was more than a grade lower than Kanglin planet. After all, this wasn't a trading planet. Sect Master Ishan of the Four Symbols sect brought everyone to Minglan planet. Minglan planet's teleportation hall. Thank you for saving our lives, Senior. Everyone said respectfully in unison. Ishan's dignified face showed a smile again. He said to the many foreign cultivators who still had lingering fears, this is Minglan planet. According to the interstellar teleportation formation fee, each of you has to pay 10,000 low-grade spiritual crystals. Of course, if you're short on money, you can develop on Minglan planet first. Once you've earned enough money, you can pay the Four Symbols sect. I believe that you'll like Minglan planet in the end. Everyone looked at each other. How could a nascent soul cultivator be like this? Thus, many people had bitter expressions. They could only stay on Minglan planet. Before they went to Murong planet, they had tightened their belts and only prepared 20,000 low-grade spiritual crystals. The interstellar teleportation formation fee was just right. Who knew that so many things would happen in between? In the end, they didn't get anything and unexpectedly came to Minglan planet. If they had to pay another 10,000 low-grade spiritual crystals, they would have no money to go home. However, although everyone was helpless, they didn't have any complaints. After all, Ishan had saved them. Of course, some people could afford it. They paid 20,000 low-grade spiritual crystals and left through the interstellar teleportation formation. Minglan planet is still too close to Murong planet. We have to go. Jiang Ci didn't communicate with the Wen siblings. He also paid the interstellar teleportation formation fee and left. His destination was Tsanglan planet. As for the Wen siblings, one was a dark net headhunter on Murong planet, and the other was the owner of the dark net. They should be able to pay 20,000 low-grade spiritual crystals. In the sky above Minglan planet, there were 4 huge floating islands. They were the headquarters of the Four Symbols sect. In the depths of one of the floating islands, there was an array boundary that prevented spiritual senses from probing. Inside the array boundary, there was an ancient altar supported by 4 stone pillars in the middle of a black lake. After Ishan left the teleportation hall, he immediately came here. He was waiting for something. After some time, the figure of a middle-aged woman suddenly appeared on the altar. The woman's face was ordinary, but there was a galaxy flowing in her eyes. Ishan greets Granny Yen. Ishan knelt on the ground respectfully. I already know what you did on Murong planet. You did very well. The woman's voice seemed to come from beyond the heavens. Thank you for the compliment, Granny. Ishan was overjoyed. In 100 years, I will get someone to reserve a spot for you in the Heavenly Court's ancient Tao origin world, Granny Yen said softly. Thank you, Granny. Ishan was overjoyed. A late-stage essence soul cultivator was so excited that his face was flushed red. Chapter 286. When Ishan heard Granny Yan's promise, he could no longer maintain his composure. Even after Granny Yan's message disappeared, his face was still filled with excitement. His cultivation was at the late-stage essence soul stage, and he had already mastered 80% of the weak water Tao. If he wanted to cultivate it to perfection, he would need at least 100 years, and at most 1,000 years. If he encountered a bottleneck in the middle, he might die before he could reach perfection even after his lifespan was exhausted. However, even if he mastered the heaven and earth Tao, he would at most be invincible among the essence soul stage. If he wanted to become a Tao integration cultivator, there was one more obstacle, the fusion of spirit and Tao. This obstacle was extremely difficult. There were countless powerful primal Taoists in the Tao alliance who had been stuck at this stage. Tao integration was difficult. If he did not reach the Tao, how could he reach the Tao integration stage? However, Ishan was confident that with his talent and comprehension, he could complete the fusion of spirit and Tao within 1,000 years. However, would succeeding in the Tao integration mean that he had reached the pinnacle? As the sect leader of a top immortal Tao sect, Ishan knew that Tao integration was just another beginning. With my talent, I am confident that I can reach the Tao integration stage, but it will be extremely difficult for me to advance any further. The ancient Tao origin world of the Heavenly Court only opens once every 10,000 years. Even the disciples of the 3 sects and 6 sects have a hard time getting a spot. Perhaps I can use this opportunity to reach the threshold above Tao integration. Haha, his carefree laughter wantonly reverberated throughout the formation. Planet Sung Lan, Waterfront City, Teleportation Hall. When the light of the galaxy teleportation formation dissipated, he saw the familiar guard captain, Gong Shi. Jiang Xi finally heaved a sigh of relief. He was finally safe. Gong Shi once again made an exaggerated gesture of greeting because he did not recognize Jiang Xi, who had a ferocious expression on his face. Jiang Xi did not intend to expose himself either. He found a cover and created a new identity on planet Sung Lan. He also sent a message to the Wen family siblings and told them to create new identities later. Then, he left leisurely. Walking on the streets of Waterfront City, Jiang Xi made a decision as he looked at the different scenery of planet Sung Lan. I'll first complete the Golden Core transformation and reach the nascent soul stage before returning to Earth. Now that he couldn't treat the wound on his face, if he went back now, he would probably scare that little girl from Jiangdudu to tears. He might as well make a breakthrough first before returning. It just so happened that he was going to apply to become the Earth's Lord. Next, Jiang Xi spent more than 1 million spirit crystals to buy a manor at the peak of a mountain in Linhai City. This was one of the places with the highest concentration of spirit qi on the pale blue planet. It was the best place to cultivate. In the future, this would be his permanent residence in the starry sky. Jiang Xi stood at the top of the manor. He could see the sea of planet blue and the floating islands on the surface of the sea. With such a beautiful scenery, I must bring Dao to here to play in the future. Although he had such thoughts, he did not relax at all. With my current combat ability, I can be considered as invincible among the nascent soul stage cultivators. However, if I really want to take care of the head of the Qing Xian sect, I still need to go further. Not only that, but there is also old ancestor Qing Xian, who is comparable to the nascent soul stage. He is an even more abnormal character. The crisis brought by the Qing Xian sect had yet to be resolved. He still needed to continue working hard. After a while, the Wen family siblings arrived. Ever since they were born, they had lived in a society similar to the Qin dynasty on Earth. When they were on Minglan planet, they did not leave the teleportation hall. Therefore, they did not feel much about the outside world. However, now that they were on the pale blue planet, they were walking on the streets of this trading planet. The two late-stage golden core cultivators were completely dazzled. They had never seen such a bustling planet. Until they walked into Jiang Xi's manor, they were still a little absent-minded. The world was so big. When they saw Jiang Xi, they finally calmed down. "Uncle Granduncle, your face." When Yoxin was concerned about Jiang Xi's appearance, Wen Feng was also worried. "It's okay. When I reach the nascent soul stage, I will be able to recover." Jiang Xi smiled. When he grinned, those scars squeezed together and his face looked even more ferocious. The siblings looked at each other. Judging from Uncle Granduncle's tone, it seemed that it would be easy to cultivate to the nascent soul stage. Uncle Granduncle was indeed powerful. "What do you plan to do next? Do you want to do anything?" Jiang Xi asked. Since he was Uncle Granduncle, he had to be responsible and care about the development of the younger generation. Our Wen family's inheritance is mainly the art of crafting. It will require a lot of practice. Therefore, Wen Feng and I plan to open a crafting workshop and cultivate at the same time. When Yoxin smiled. "That's fine. I will help you find someone for the crafting workshop." "Thank you, Uncle Granduncle." Jiang Xi smiled. No matter where one went, there was no lack of connections and relationships. In the galaxy, besides the strong being respected, sometimes it would be easier to do some things with someone to guide you. The interstellar merchant Shenwansi, who was only one word away from the great merchant Shenwan San, had many connections on the pale blue planet. He could ask him for help. Shenwansi would be very happy to hear this news. This was because the spirit artifact trade was one of the top industries in the Tao Alliance's 9 major galaxies. Spirit pills and spirit artifacts were indispensable to cultivators. Moreover, the legacy of crafting artifacts was as rare as the legacy of arrays. It was very difficult for ordinary people to get involved in the spirit artifact trade. I can't sell the things left behind by my ancestors every day. There will definitely be more and more spirit crystals for cultivation in the future. The Wen family is good at crafting artifacts. Their legacy of crafting artifacts was famous in the Xixiao region 10,000 years ago. I can use this opportunity to get involved in the spirit artifact trade. This was another consideration in Jiang Xi's mind. Cultivation required money. That day, Jiang Xi called Shenwansi over. This interstellar merchant, who dreamed of buying a manor in Linhai City, saw Jiang Xi's seaside manor and called him Jiang Gu enviously. As for the wound on Jiang Xi's face, he didn't ask about it at all. Who knew what kind of weird fetish this mysterious and noble young master was up to? Then, Shenwansi started to complain. "Jiang Gu, you've got me in trouble. That's clearly a place of Tao integration inheritance, but you told me it's a place of primordial spirit inheritance. Also, Jiang Gu, you've made a big deal out of this. I heard that 20,000 to 30,000 golden core cultivators died. A few nascent soul cultivators also died. In the end, even primordial spirit cultivators died. If it weren't for the fact that I have a lot of connections and that I'm just a small fry, I would have been dragged to the pale blue clouds sect by now." Jiang Xi smiled and didn't interrupt him. Shenwansi's words hinted at one point, which was that he didn't reveal that he was the mastermind behind the scenes. Ever since Ishan brought the surviving foreign cultivators out of the Murong planet. What happened on the Murong planet spread throughout the pale blue planet. Chapter 287. What happened on Murong planet had caused a huge commotion on Blue planet. Because more than half of the cultivators who went to Qianyang Grotto Heaven came from Blue planet. Dao integration inheritance. 20 to 30,000 golden core cultivators died. Many nascent soul cultivators also died. Even the nascent soul cultivators of Purple Heaven sect and the sect master of Four Symbols sect from Minglan Star region died. This incident caused a huge uproar on Blue Planet. So many people died. It was almost the entire strength of a level 4 or level 5 planet. However, no one dared to talk about Daoist Changbai slaughtering 10,000 golden core cultivators. If they offended such a huge monster, it would not be enough even if they died 10,000 times. When Shenwansi was almost done complaining, Jiang Xi said with a smile, "Let me introduce you to a big business." Big business? Shenwansi's eyes lit up. Then, Jiang Xi introduced the Wen siblings. When Shenwansi heard that these two came from a refining family with a 10,000-year heritage, he immediately sent them to the Dao Alliance's Heavenly Court office. However, the Wen siblings' plan to build a refining workshop was still a little small. According to Jiang Xi's plan, if they wanted to develop and make money, of course, they had to plan it bigger. Therefore, under Jiang Xi's leadership, an interstellar trading group called Mountain Sea Star Trade was established. As the saying goes, even blood brothers should settle accounts clearly. In the newly established Mountain Sea Star Trade, Jiang Xi took 50% of the shares, the Wen siblings took 20% each, and Shenwansi took the remaining 10%. Among them, Jiang Xi and Shenwansi had to pay, but the Wen siblings did not need to pay. They were technically investors. 10% of the shares required 100,000 low-grade spiritual crystals. In terms of scale, Mountain Sea Star Trade was just a prototype now. To what extent it could develop to in the future, they still needed to work together. Of course, if they only relied on the Wen siblings, they would have to work non-stop to refine. The spiritual weapons they produced would not be able to support a group that specialized in spiritual weapon trading. Therefore, their initial plan was to recruit refiners. Then, without revealing the Wen family's refining heritage, the Wen siblings would guide those refiners. The Wen clan's blacksmithing inheritance was famous in the Zixiao region 10,000 years ago. Naturally, it had its own uniqueness. The refined spirit artifacts were very sought after at that time. They were often the finale items of the various major auction houses in the interstellar era. Now, it definitely wouldn't be any worse. He believed that with the guidance of the Wen siblings, the Mountain Sea Star Trade Association would have a bright future. After dealing with these matters, Jiang Xi went into secluded cultivation with a peace of mind. Completing the final golden core nascent soul transformation process. At the same time, he was deducing the next level of the true meaning of sword and true meaning of fire. He had gained a lot from the trip to Murong planet. First of all, he had accomplished his main goal. By refining the baleful yang energy, he had completed the nurturing of his golden core. Secondly, he unexpectedly comprehended the true intent of departing fire through the Wen clan's inheritance. True Dao intent was naturally incomparably precious. An additional Dao art meant an additional means. After that, there were still more than 100,000 Inferno Dao crystals left in the Qianyang Grotto Heaven. Dao crystals were very valuable because they were tainted with the Dao of heaven and earth of a Dao integration expert. Under normal circumstances, a doctrine crystal was equivalent to 1,000 low-grade spiritual crystals. In other words, his current net worth had already exceeded 100 million. Finally, there was the harvest of experience points. That wisp of departing fire had brought him 100 million experience points. That was also 100 million. He looked at the remaining experience points. Frowny face experience points, 232, 64 million, more than 200 million was a huge amount. Sufficient experience points were the capital to become stronger. Time flew by in the blink of an eye. On this day, Jiang Xi had reached the final stage of his nascent soul transformation. Xian Tian, Li Baibai, Hu Yan, Wen Youxin, Wen Feng. The five of them stood guard outside Jiang Xi's cultivation room. Xian Tian and the other two had returned from a space hunter training ground in the Pale Blue Star region last month. He and Li Baibai had successfully passed the training test and had become space hunters. From the aura emitted by the two of them, it could be seen that their strength had improved a lot. However, the two of them were not satisfied because they realized that the gap between them and Jiang Xi was getting bigger and bigger. Li Baibai shook his head and said helplessly, "This kid, he was still an ordinary person when we were in the spirit-nurturing realm. Now, he has surpassed us by a whole realm. Comparisons are odious, so we can't compare. As long as we are still improving, it's fine." Xian Tian smiled and was in a good mood. Wen Yoxin and Wen Feng looked at each other. They had only recently learned that this young martial granduncle was indeed very young. He was only in his 20s. The two of them were already more than 200 years old when they heard this. They really doubted life for a moment. Night fell. The aura of a nascent soul cultivator spread from the cultivation room to the entire manor and then to a radius of 100 miles. This aura attracted many spiritual senses to investigate, but these spiritual senses only scanned and quickly retracted. On the Pale Blue Star, golden core cultivators were only considered elites. Those who could cultivate to the nascent soul stage were top experts. Therefore, the owners of these spiritual senses did not dare to probe too much for fear of offending this new nascent soul cultivator. Success. Outside the cultivation room, the five of them were happy for Jiang Xi. This was especially so for Xian Tian and Li Baibai. The two of them were much happier than the Wen siblings and Hu Yan. Because Jiang Xi had reached the nascent soul stage, it meant that he could apply to become the Lord of Earth. Once Earth was marked by the heavenly eye of the Tao Alliance, it would no longer be a barren planet but a private territory. No one could trespass without permission. Otherwise, the Lord of the planet could apply to the heavenly court to arrest and kill the trespassers. As a result, Earth would become safer. Inside the cultivation room, Jiang Xi looked inside with his spiritual senses and saw that his golden core had already turned into an infant in his lower dantian. Nascent soul. Streaks of spiritual energy stronger than a late-stage golden core cultivator circulated around his body with the nascent soul as the core. It's still not enough. I'm still a little bit away from being truly invincible in the nascent soul stage. Jiang Xi shook his head again. His cultivation base and Tao domain were both at the peak of the nascent soul stage. Previously, when he faced Xiao Xian and Fu Zai, who were both invincible in the nascent soul stage, he used his strongest sword to barely block their attacks. However, his strength was not invincible in the nascent soul stage. His strongest move was only equivalent to an invincible in the nascent soul stage. His ultimate move was equivalent to an ordinary attack. He opened the experience panel. Cultivation, Nascent Soul, Early Stage 1, 81 million, Tao Technique, Gale Domain, 5,000/5,000,000, True Intent of Leaf Fire, 500,000/500,000, True Intent of Sword, 1,000,000/1,000,000, Amplitude, 100 Deduction, 10,000 Experience Points per Use Cultivation Technique, Purple Firmament Sword Manual, Peacock Visualization Method Experience Points, 225. 34 million, I've broken through the bottleneck of my cultivation. There won't be any obstacles in my future advancement. Peak Nascent Soul Stage. Jiang Xi's eyes shone. If he spent some more time and ate a few more spiritual fruits, he would reach the peak of the nascent soul stage. Chapter 288. However, Jiang Xi didn't plan to increase his cultivation level immediately. I'll heal my face first. That was because there were only a few days left until the new year of the Daxia Kingdom. He had to rush back to celebrate the new year with Jiang Dudu. As for increasing his cultivation level, anywhere was fine. His face was the most important thing now. Moreover, he had to go to the Tao Alliance building to do something. The last time he went there, he was only at the late-stage Golden Core realm. If he went there with his late-stage nascent soul realm cultivation level now, it would definitely cause trouble. After all, it had only been a year. Who would believe that he could improve so much in a year? Anyway, the condition to apply for the Earth Overlord title was that he only needed to be at the nascent soul realm. It didn't say whether he was at the early stage or late stage. Immediately after, Jiang Xi circulated his nascent soul realm's spiritual power to heal the hideous and terrifying scars on his face. It took him a full 3 days to completely recover. Then, the scars fell off. The new skin made Jiang Xi speechless. He was a standard fair-skinned guy, after walking out of the training room. Jiang Xi, you've become a gigolo. Xian Tian was the first to tease him. The others also laughed. Because the new skin on Jiang Xi's face looked very fair and tender, with a hint of red in it. Jiang Xi smiled helplessly. It seemed that he had to be exposed to more wind in the future and become more rugged. After everyone joked, Jiang Xi looked into the distance. That was the direction of the Dao Alliance building. Big brother, sister bye-bye, it's time to get down to business. Xian Tian and Li Baibai's expressions became solemn as they nodded vigorously. 15 minutes later, the three of them walked to the Dao Alliance building. The middle-aged Taoist in the early nascent soul stage clearly remembered Jiang Xi at the place where the application or transfer of the planet's overlord status was made. He was very surprised because it had only been a year and 2 months since Jiang Xi and the others last came in such a short time. Jiang Xi had broken through from the late-stage Golden Core realm to the early-stage nascent soul realm. He was on the same level as him. Fellow Taoist, do you still want to apply to become the overlord of that planet? The middle-aged Taoist asked with a smile. Not bad. Here are the original data and 100 million low-grade spiritual crystals. Jiang Xi handed over the astrolabe and a Dao Alliance crystal bank card he had prepared beforehand. These 100 million low-grade spirit crystals were exchanged for by him using the 100,000 Dao crystals. Without using the treasures left behind by the ancestors of Earth, strive not to be a prodigal. The middle-aged Taoist acted according to the rules. This time, he didn't ask Jiang Xi to hand over Earth to the Dao Alliance. The doppelganger of the Eye of Heaven shot out a beam of light from the stone pillar that was engraved with spell formations, and examined the astrolabe again. A moment later, the middle-aged Taoist handed the astrolabe to Jiang Xi. At the same time, he smiled and said, "Congratulations, Taoist Jiang Xi. The Eye of Tongtian has branded the earth and the sky around it. From this moment on, you are the new lord of the earth." New Moon Year 97, December 10th, Jiang Xi, Xian Tian, and Li Baibai, the three powerhouses of Earth, returned to their hometown through the interstellar teleportation array. As for Hu Yan, he was left behind by Jiang Xi on the Kanglan planet to help the Wen siblings and Shenwanxi manage the Mountain Sea Star trade. After all, the Mountain Sea Star trade had just been established not long ago. There were many places that needed manpower. This time, the three of them returned mainly for the new year. It was a tradition of the people of Great Xia that no matter where they were, they would want to go home for a visit during the new year. Pak Sun Province, Villa 92 in the Tongtian district. Xian Tian and Li Baibai had already returned to their respective homes. They had promised Jiang Xi that they would return to the Kanglan planet after the new year. These two were battle maniacs. After becoming starry sky hunters, they couldn't stay idle and wanted to go to the stars to train and fight. Late at night, in the villa, Jiang Daodu stared at Jiang Xi's face for a long time and said enviously, "Brother, can cultivation really beautify your face? Your face is white and rosy. It's really the skin of my dreams." Jiang Xi was speechless. Women. At first glance, they all looked at the face. Speaking of which, after leaving for a year, Jiang Daodu was already 18 years old. She was a big girl now, Then, he smiled helplessly and said, after cultivating to the nascent soul stage, your spiritual power will undergo a qualitative change, and you will be able to make certain adjustments to your body. However, it's better to stay in the original state. If you make any changes, it's easy to cause problems. It's okay. I just need to whiten my skin. The nascent soul stage. I must cultivate to the nascent soul stage. Jiang Daodu clenched her fists tightly. Actually, in Jiang Xi's opinion, her current appearance was good enough. After becoming an adult, Jiang Daodu could no longer be seen as the bean sprout when the two of them were wandering around. Now, she was slim and elegant, and her face had completely grown. Although she wasn't as beautiful as a fairy, her temperament was definitely first class. In terms of personality, she only showed her coquettish side in front of Jiang Xi. In front of outsiders, she could only be cold and aloof. After all, Jiang Daodu was now at the golden core stage, and she was also a peak powerhouse on Earth. Thinking of this, Jiang Xi's expression became serious. After failing to possess Jiang Daodu's body, the remnant spirit of Yin was unexpectedly bound and became Jiang Daodu's slave. Then, Jiang Daodu's cultivation took a big leap for the third time and directly reached the golden core stage. When this happened, he had only been on Murong planet for half a month. After Jiang Daodu sent him a message, he was very worried and immediately rushed back. When he learned that Jiang Daodu could control the life and death of the remnant spirit of Yin, he was relieved. Jiang Daodu had a big secret, which Jiang Xi had known for a long time. During the third and fourth spiritual aura awakening, Jiang Daodu's cultivation had both shown signs of greatly increasing. Although Jiang Xi was shocked that the Dao integration remnant spirit was defeated by Jiang Daodu, it was still within the acceptable range. Seeing Jiang Xi's expression become serious, Jiang Daodu immediately understood what he was thinking and smiled. Come out. Suddenly, an old woman the size of a thumb flew out from her shoulder. The old woman had little hair and her face was full of wrinkles. She looked like she had suffered a great deal. Moreover, she was ghastly. As soon as she came out, she emitted a cold chill. Greetings, young master Jiang Xi. Yin Tiansheng bowed to Jiang Xi. Jiang Xi was only at the nascent soul stage, and she was a Dao integration remnant spirit. However, with the relationship between Jiang Xi and Jiang Daodu, she did not dare to disrespect Jiang Xi. Moreover, after secretly observing in the past, she was also a little afraid of Jiang Xi. It was not only because Jiang Xi was Daoist Ji's successor, but also because Jiang Xi's speed of improvement was too fast. Although he could not compare to those heaven-defying races who were born at the golden core stage, he could definitely be called a top genius in the universe. Do you still hate my master? Jiang Xi asked directly. I'm already a remnant spirit, and your master is already dead. As the saying goes, a dead man is like an extinguished lamp. How can I still hate him? Yin Tiansheng smiled bitterly. The inheritance of the ghost sect in the Fengdu mystic realm is with you? No, I only ascended the fifth of the 6 heavenly palaces on Fengdu mountain before I was stopped by your master. Really? I don't dare to lie at all. Yin Tiansheng hurriedly shook his head. Chapter 289. At this time, Jiang Daodu smiled and said, Brother, old Yin didn't lie. Relying on the comfort of Yin Tiansheng's remnant spirit, she could sense the other party's thoughts. Jiang Xi nodded and smiled. I won't say much about threats. If you really have any other intentions, Daodu won't show mercy. I don't dare. Yin Tiansheng shook his head again. Then, Jiang Daodu took back her so-called ghost pet. Brother, don't worry. I know what I'm doing. Moreover, it's useful to keep old Yin. She can guide me in cultivation or something. You can't be careless. Later, I'll teach you a few restrictions against spiritual sense. You can put them on her. It'll be safer. That's good. give me a more ruthless and powerful one. Jiang Daoda's eyes lit up. The two of them chatted with each other and started chatting again. They each told each other about their experiences in the past year. In fact, in the past year, the two of them had also contacted each other through the communication bead. But most of the time, Jiang Xi was either working on Murong planet or cultivating in seclusion. They rarely contacted each other, and most of them were just a few hurried words. Therefore, the two of them chatted for 3 whole days this time. Then, they began to prepare New Year goods and visit their relatives and friends. For example, their former neighbor in Luming District, Old Yang, Zhenten Budokan's Zhang Wei, Uncle Jiang, Lu Shan, and Chen Yuan. There was also the president of the Kitasanfu Martial Artists Association, He Chengxing, and so on. These were all elders and friends. Jiang Xi took the initiative to visit them all. As for the rest of the martial arts world in Pak Sun province, they were all here to visit Jiang Xi. Of course, whether Jiang Xi would see them or not was another matter. After not seeing each other for a year, everyone thought that Jiang Xi was in seclusion. When they saw Jiang Xi again, everyone was very surprised. Because they could still feel Jiang Xi's spiritual power aura in the past. Now, they realized that they could not see through Jiang Xi at all. Except for Jiang Dudu, Xian Tian, and Li Baibai. No one knew that Jiang Xi was already an existence that far surpassed the current cultivation world on Earth. He was even the Lord of Earth after the New Year. Jiang Xi left Earth with Jiang Dudu, Xian Tian, and Li Baibai. The 4 of them announced to the outside world that they were still in seclusion. As for Jiang Xi's other 2 servants, Chu Zai and Qiu Hong, he would continue to shoulder the responsibility of Jiang Xi and the others and protect everything in the Great Xia Kingdom for them. After arriving on the Blue Planet, Xian Tian, Li Baibai, and Hu Yan went to other planets in the Blue Planet to train and fight. Jiang Dudu, accompanied by Jiang Xi, played on the Blue Planet for more than 2 months. They didn't stop until they were tired of playing. The only thing worth mentioning was that when the Wen siblings met Jiang Dudu for the first time, they called her martial aunt, which made Jiang Dudu blush. However, the little girl's mentality was very good. After that, she happily rewarded the Wen siblings with a wonderful stone as if nothing had happened. She also had a lot of these things in her hands. The Wen siblings were very surprised to find auxiliary magic treasures that could increase the speed of cultivation. Jiang Dudu's generosity made her quickly become familiar with the Wen siblings. She even had nothing to do at the Mountain Sea Star trade. Sometimes, she would go over to help. The backbone of the Mountain Sea Star trade all knew Jiang Dudu's identity, so naturally, they treated her well. However, Jiang Dudu didn't blindly order them around. She just wanted to experience the feeling of being a big sister. The following days were relatively peaceful. Jiang Xi and Jiang Dudu lived on the Blue Planet for half a year and on Earth for the other half. It was like traveling. Of course, they didn't forget about cultivation. Just like that, another 2 years passed in the blink of an eye. At the edge of the solar system, in the desolate starry sky, there was a place like the surface of the water. Waves appeared, and a flying boat shuttled out of it. The head of the Qing Xian sect, Qing Yi, stood on the deck of the flying boat. Looking at the empty starry sky, he let out a long breath. He had finally broken through the dangerous chaotic star belt. Although he looked young, his eyes were full of vicissitudes. He had lived for at least 1,000 years. Yen was talking about this galaxy. He really didn't lie to me. Qing Ye's expression was complicated before this. He still had some doubts about this arrogant disciple in his heart. He suspected that Hu Yan didn't want to hand over Earth to the sect. Now, it seemed that he had misunderstood his disciple. It's been more than 3 years, and there's no response to my message. It seems that something bad really happened. But, why didn't the life jade break? This was something that Qing Yi couldn't understand. He decided that when he reached Earth, he would investigate carefully. With the speed of a top-grade flying boat, it would only take 3 to 5 days to reach Earth from here. As he spoke, he took out the astrolabe used for interstellar navigation. Inside it was the navigation route that Hu Yan had given him. What? Qing Ye's expression changed drastically. Previously, Hu Yan had told him that this was a desolate galaxy. However, when he opened the astrolabe, he immediately discovered something. This starry sky had the imprint of the heavenly eye of the Tao Alliance. Qing Ye's expression was uncertain. In this galaxy, the only planet that is qualified to be imprinted by the Tao Alliance's heavenly eye is Earth. This means that someone has already applied to become the overlord of Earth. Who is it? Hu Yan? Or a native? No matter who it was, Qing Yi knew that he was in trouble now. The Tao Alliance's decree, private territory, sacred and inviolable. If he broke in without permission, once he was discovered by the overlord of Earth, after that, it was very likely that he would be arrested and hunted down by the Tao Alliance's law enforcers. In the Blue Star region, he might be a famous nascent soul expert. But compared to the Tao Alliance's heavenly court, it was nothing. Any team of law enforcers could kill him. Let's see what the patriarch has to say. Qing Yi sent a message to his patriarch. Soon, Patriarch Qing Xian's figure appeared on the deck of the flying ship. Patriarch Qing Xian had the appearance of a teenager. He had long red hair, wore a blood-red spiritual artifact battle armor, and carried a long saber on his back. When he saw the desolate starry sky of the solar system, he smiled. You did well. Patriarch, there's an unexpected situation. This place already has the imprint of the Tao Alliance's heavenly eye. Someone has applied to become the overlord of Earth. Qing Yi shook his head. Is it that disciple of yours? Patriarch Qing Xian's expression darkened. I'm not sure yet. But now that this planet has become a private territory, I can't trespass. If the Tao Alliance's heavenly court pursues the matter, not only me, but also the Qing Xian sect will be implicated. This is the result of 3,000 years of hard work of the patriarch and the Qing family. Qing Yi smiled bitterly. What are you afraid of? Patriarch Qing Xian suddenly shouted coldly, and a blood-red light shot out from his eyes. Qing Yi was stunned. He did not know why the patriarch was angry. Patriarch Qing Xian laughed coldly. So what if the Tao Alliance's heavenly court pursues the matter? So what if the Qing Xian sect is implicated? What do you think the Qing Xian sect is ranked in the top 10 among the countless immortal sects in the Blue Star region? It's because of the Qing Xian sect. It's because I killed a nascent soul cultivator with 3 slashes. Power. Power is the foundation. Honor and reputation are bullshit. Chapter 290. Qing Ye's expression changed. Old ancestor Qing Xian continued to scold him. You should have heard about what happened on Murong planet in Minglan Star region 3 years ago. So many cultivators died because of a path unification inheritance. Not only are 2 Tao integration stage super mighty figures buried on this desolate planet called Earth, but they're also buried here. There are also top demon bloodlines like the dragon python and the black tortoise. Who knows how many other hidden opportunities there are. You have to remember that the most fundamental law of the universe is that the strong are respected. So, who cares if he's an overlord? Just capture him or kill him, and then snatch the opportunity. If I can get the opportunities on this planet, I will have a chance to reach path unification. By then, will the heavenly court of the Tao Alliance still pursue the trespassing of private property? If the Qing Xian sect is destroyed, so be it. As long as I don't die, as long as I reach path unification, I can rebuild it. And the rebuilt Qing Xian sect will only be stronger. Old ancestor Qing Xian did not hide the ambition in his heart as his long red hair fluttered. Even though they were separated by a communication pearl, Nie Tian could still sense the bloodthirsty aura pulsing in his deep eyes. Qing Ye's eyes became firm. He was awakened by the old ancestor's words. Indeed, he had always thought too highly of the Qing Xian sect and neglected the fact that strength was the foundation. Thank you for your teachings, old ancestor. I will go to Earth now. Very good. Go and find out the details of Earth. If there is a threat, solve it if you can. If you can't, contact me. Old ancestor Qing Xian nodded. 4 days later, Qing Yi drove the flying ship and traveled to the starry sky near Earth. When he saw the 2 moons hanging in the sky outside Earth, he understood the old ancestor's words even more. There must be a great opportunity in such a blessed land. By then, not only would the old ancestor reach path unification, maybe he would also have a chance to touch the threshold of path unification. Path unification was the peak of cultivators. In the pale blue star region, the whereabouts of path unification experts were not obvious. They could be the strongest on the surface when they were only in the primordial soul realm. As long as they could reach path unification, even if they built the Qing Xian sect into a top immortal Dao sect like the Zhangyan sect, they might still have a chance. Qing Ye's eyes were burning as he drove the flying ship through Earth's atmosphere and landed on Earth. I wonder if it was Hu Yen or an aboriginal who applied to become the Earth's overlord? After all, there are 2 Dao integration stage experts buried on this planet. Let's investigate in secret first. With such cautious thoughts in mind, he began to use his spiritual sense to investigate. With his nascent soul stage cultivation base, the limit of his spiritual sense exploration was 1,000 kilometers. In an hour, he would be able to roughly explore the entire Earth. At this moment, Qing Yi was in the air above the African continent. Soon, he made a discovery. With his spiritual awareness, he discovered a pyramid 10,000 meters below the surface of an oasis in the desert. This is an ancient altar. It's an altar that only Dao integration stage powerful beings can build. An altar like this can contain the Dao of heaven and earth of a Dao integration stage super mighty figure. Qing Yi was ecstatic. They had only just begun, but they had already discovered a Dao integration stage inheritance. Moreover, it was clear that this altar had existed for over 10,000 years and was not left behind by Daoist Gu and Yin Tian. Qing Yi took a deep breath and went deep into the ground. He carefully searched the pyramid but didn't find anything. What a pity, it turns out to be an abandoned ancient altar. From the looks of it, there might be more than 1 Dao integration stage inheritance on this planet. He continued north and arrived at the continent where the Holy Alliance was located. He soon made a new discovery. In the air above the 1,000-year-old holy city of the Holy Alliance, Qing Yi stood in the air, his figure hidden in the void. The Holy Alliance, which only had 1 golden core cultivator, couldn't discover him at all. This city is very strange. It seems like there's a powerful array formation. There's a faint, frightening fluctuation. Qing Yi was secretly shocked. Out of caution, he didn't go down and only memorize the location of the holy city. He continued to investigate other places. Next, he went to the Atlantic Ocean, the American continent where the Shadow Nation was located, and then to the Pacific Ocean. Along the way, he made many discoveries. Especially at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean, he discovered a group of abandoned cities. There's actually a civilization left behind by the Sea Tribe. Qing Yi was shocked again. In the 9 major galaxies of the Dao Alliance, the Sea Tribe was on the verge of extinction. Only a small number of them lived in the remote galaxies of the Dao Alliance. Then, Qing Yi followed the line of the equator and investigated all the way from the Pacific Ocean to the subcontinent where the Peacock Nation was located. Qing Yi turned pale with fright. His spiritual sense quickly discovered ancient temples that were buried deep in the ground. Although these ancient temples were old, he could see the majestic scene from them. There's actually Buddhist ruins here. Even with Qing Ye's invincible nascent soul cultivation, his throat couldn't help but dry up. The Dao Alliance had 3 factions and 6 sections. The 3 factions were the Daoist sect, the Buddhist sect, and the Sword sect. Any one of them was a transcendent existence in the universe. The Buddhist sects were the most mysterious of all. This was because in the 9 major galaxies of the Tao Alliance, the Buddhist realm ruled by the Buddhist sect had always been at the edge of the 9 major galaxies. In the other 8 major galaxies, it was very rare to see a Buddhist disciple. And on this planet, he actually saw the ruins of Buddhism. And it's not an ordinary Buddhist ruin. It seems like a powerful and famous Buddhist mountain once existed here. Qing Ye's throat moved. The shock in his heart couldn't be suppressed for a long time. What's the origin of this planet? He clearly knew that this was no longer as simple as the Tao integration stage. It was related to existences above the Tao integration stage. What kind of 3rd grade planet is this? I'm afraid it's even higher than 6th grade. Thus, Qing Yi became even more careful. He didn't dare to rashly explore the Buddhist ruins here. Everyone knew how powerful the Buddhist sect was. If they violated any taboos, they might not even know how they died, or they might not even have the chance to die. Qing Yi carefully set off again. Soon, he arrived at the western plateau of the Great Xia Kingdom. He first explored to the east. In a mountain range near the Shu Mountain Prefecture, Qing Yi made a new discovery. It's a grotto heaven mystic realm. Qing Yi found the entrance to the Fengdu mystic realm under a small mountain. The Dark Suppression Army and the Shu Jia guarding this place were not worth mentioning in Qing Ye's eyes. He easily avoided the seal and entered the stone cave. This place is close to the Buddhist ruins. Why is it so gloomy? It's so pure. Could it be the power of Yin? Qing Yi was puzzled at first. Then, his eyes suddenly lit up. That was an extremely precious energy body. In a flash, he passed through the spatial door. Then, he saw the majestic Fengdu mountain at first glance in the Fengdu mystic realm. Ah, this! Qing Yi was frightened. His face was filled with fear. He could no longer maintain his composure and fled this place. From the time he entered to the time he came out, it took less than 3 seconds. Chapter 291. Ghost Race, it's the ruins of the Ghost Race. How is that possible? The Ghost Race is the greatest enemy of the human race. It's impossible for there to be ruins of the Ghost Race in the 9 major stellar zones of the Tao Alliance. After Qing Yi escaped, he looked at the black space door, the entrance to the Fengdu mystic realm, with fear and trepidation. After a long time, he managed to dispel some of the fear in his heart, but he was still a little shaken. The 3 strongest races in the universe were the human race, the demon race, and the ghost race. The 3 of them were enemies and had fought each other in the extraterritorial battlefield for countless years. Qing Yi knew very well that with his strength, he could be called a top expert in the Pale Blue Star region. But in the extraterritorial battlefield, he was just cannon fodder against the demon race and the ghost race. And there was such a large-scale ghost race ruin here. Qing Yi swallowed his saliva and looked at the space door again with lingering fear. Even a Tao integration stage elite would be terrified on that black mountain, wouldn't they? Yes, according to the patriarch, Daoist Gu followed the ghost race's Tao integration expert, Yin Tianxing here. It seems like Yin Tianxing came here for this place. No matter what, I can't go in anymore. The ghost race has strange methods. With my invincible nascent soul strength, if I really encounter danger, I won't even know how I died. Qing Yi shook his head and continued to explore other places. Soon, he arrived at the Kunlun Mountains and stood in the air. Such an immortal mountain terrain, it's natural. It seems like there's a powerful array formation here. But this place is close to the Buddhist and ghost race ruins. There shouldn't be any shocking existence here. Just as this thought appeared in Qing Ye's mind, his spiritual consciousness discovered Kunlun's Death Valley. Another entrance to the Grotto Heaven mystic realm? Was it opened by an Essence Soul expert? Or a Tao integration expert? Yes, the outer barrier is so obvious. It must have been left behind by an essence soul expert. Qing Yi carefully explored the mountain range again and didn't sense any dangerous aura. Then, he entered Death Valley in a flash and was transported to the Jade Pool Mystic Realm. After seeing the beautiful scenery in the Mystic Realm, Qing Yi heaved a sigh of relief. Qing Yi breathed a sigh of relief. Although there were some undead creatures, they were obviously not from the ghost race. In a few breaths' time, he arrived above the Tongtian Mountain. The Tongtian Mountain was guarded by the military of the Great Xia Kingdom and the martial artists of Genten Budokan. At this moment, He Tu and the two spirit vessel cultivators from the Great Xia Empire were present. However, with their cultivation level, they were unable to detect Qing Yi, who was invincible in the nascent soul realm. There's a floating lake. It seems like this place was left behind by a formation master. No. This lake does not exist in this grotto heaven. There is a second heavenly abode here. It must have been left behind by a Tao integration stage powerful being. I wonder where the entrance to the second paradise is. Qing Yi was a little surprised. Furthermore, there were humans in the lake at the top of the mountain. He felt that there was no danger here, so he began to carefully explore with his spiritual sense. Subsequently, he first detected the stone tablet that had the words Heavenspan Mountain inscribed on it. What era is this language from? This place dares to call itself Tongtian? Qing Yi was extremely surprised. In the entire Tao Alliance, only the Heavenspan I would dare to be named Heavenspan. With this thought in mind, his spirit sense found the stone door leading to the second heavenly abode in the lake at the top of the mountain. Just as he was about to go over, at this moment. Scram! The voice of a woman echoed in his mind. Qing Yi was so frightened that his body trembled, and his face turned green. A high-grade flying boat suddenly appeared. He drove the flying boat as if his life depended on it, and instantly passed through the barrier of the Jade Pool Mystic Realm. With another shuttle, he escaped from Earth. Because he was too flustered, he did not have time to hide his aura. He Tu and the others, who were in charge of guarding the Heavenspan Mountain, immediately discovered this situation. Although they did not see clearly, no one dared to ignore such an abnormality. They immediately reported the situation. At this moment, Jiang Xi was cultivating at home in the Heavenspan district. He was worried that the people from the Qing Xian sect would come early. Half a year ago, he returned to Earth with the Xian Tian, Li Baibai, and Hu Yan. As for Jiang Dudu, for the sake of safety, he forced the little girl to stay in the Blue Planet. If they were unlucky, an old ancestor Qing Xian came, Jiang Dudu could also survive. This was also the reason why he brought Hu Yan back. Because if he really met with an accident, the spiritual sense restriction on Hu Yan's body would be unsealed. At that time, no one would be able to control Hu Yan. Not only Hu Yan, but also Chu Zhe and Qiu Hong. He brought them with him. If something happened, he could take them away together. When the abnormal situation occurred in the Jade Lake Secret Realm, Jiang Xi immediately learned the news from the Xian Tian. He, Hu Yan, Chu Zhe, and Qiu Hong drove the flying boat together. From the sky above Pak Sun Province, they instantly arrived at the Kunlun Mountains and entered the Jade Lake Secret Realm. The Xian Tian and Li Baibai arrived after a while. There are remnants of the spiritual power of the nascent soul stage here. Jiang Xi frowned. Both of their expressions immediately turned solemn. There was no other cultivator on Earth except for Jiang Xi. Then, it could only be someone from the Qing Xian sect. Where is he? Is he still on Earth? The Xian Tian quickly asked. Jiang Xi's figure kept flashing in the sky above the Kunlun Mountains, investigating the whereabouts of the spiritual power aura. In the end, he found that the spiritual power aura of the nascent soul stage had passed through the atmosphere. He left Earth. Let's go and chase after him. Jiang Xi drove the flying boat and chased after the spiritual power aura with the Xian Tian and the others. Qing Yi did not dare to stop at all. The flying boat shuttled desperately and only stopped when it was near Mars. because he found that no one was chasing after him. There's actually a living powerhouse there. Is it the Path Integration Powerhouse who opened the Grotto Heaven secret realm? No, if it's a Path Integration Powerhouse, that cold shout just now would have shattered my soul. Why didn't she kill me? Qing Ye's face was still very pale, and his heart was filled with fear. No matter what, he definitely did not dare to go to Earth now. Who knew what the powerhouse who told him to get lost meant? After thinking about it, he sent a message to his own patriarch. This was no longer a threat that he could deal with. Patriarch Qing Xian's voice soon appeared on the flying boat. He saw that Qing Yi was still in the starry sky, looking panicked and pale. He was immediately puzzled and asked, Yi, did you find anything? Patriarch, there seems to be a living path integration powerhouse on this planet. Qing Ye's throat moved. A path integration powerhouse? Patriarch Qing Xian was shocked. Although he had the ability to kill an Essence Soul stage cultivator, he was not strong enough in front of a path integration powerhouse. A casual attack from the other party could destroy his soul. There's a Grotto Heaven secret realm where there's a second Grotto Heaven that can only be opened by a path integration powerhouse. When I was about to enter, a woman's voice directly shouted at me to retreat. Qing Yi briefly explained the situation in the Jade Lake secret realm. Chapter 292. Show me the data recorded on the astrolabe. Patriarch Qing Xian was calmer than Qing Yi. Qing Yi finally reacted. When he used his spiritual consciousness to explore Earth, he had been using the astrolabe to record those scenes. It was just that he was scared out of his wits just now and did not remember. Then, he injected spiritual energy into the astrolabe, and illusions appeared in front of them. They were the scenes he had explored on Earth. Starting from the ancient pyramid altar underground, to the Jade Pool mystic realm. Patriarch Qing Xian flipped through it, and he could clearly feel that his breathing had become rapid. These are all places left behind by at least Tao integration experts. This small planet actually hides so many powerful relics. When he saw the illusion of the Fengdu mystic realm, his expression changed greatly. Ghost race. There are ruins of the ghost race. That black mountain is very similar to the legendary sacred mountain of the ghost realm. No wonder Yin Tiansheng came here. In front of Qing Yi, Patriarch Qing Xian suppressed his shock and did not show it. After flipping through these data records, his heart was in a perilous situation. The Grotto Heaven mystic realm that scared Yi away in the end actually has a mountain that dares to use the name Sky Piercing. And that Grotto Heaven mystic realm is located in an endless mountain range. That mountain range is like a celestial mountain, and the heaven and earth array is faintly formed. It is also very similar to some of the Tao sect's array formations. The Tao sect, Buddhism sect, and ghost race ruins actually appeared on this planet at the same time. Perhaps there is more. This planet hides a huge secret, a huge terror. No matter what, I can't go there. Not to mention the Tao sect and Buddhism sect, just the ghost race ruins alone. If there is something hidden, it can make me die without a burial place. Patriarch Qing Xian was scared out of his wits even after looking through these recorded images. He had seen more than Qing Yi and knew more. The ignorant were fearless, but the knowledgeable were deeply fearful. The more one knew, the more one would feel the terror of this planet. Patriarch Qing Xian pondered for a long time and finally made a decision. He said to Qing Yi, Yi, you guessed wrong. The woman who scared you away is the legendary artifact spirit. Weapon spirit? Qing Yi was puzzled. He had never heard of it before. That's right. A Dharma treasure that surpasses a spirit weapon will produce a weapon spirit. As long as the Dharma treasure is not destroyed, the weapon spirit will not be destroyed. A Tao integration expert's lifespan is at most 10,000 years. Only a weapon spirit can live for endless years. Old ancestor Qing Xian explained. Then why didn't the artifact spirit attack me? Qing Yi was still puzzled. Will the saber kill by itself? Old ancestor Qing Xian laughed. Qing Yi suddenly understood. What he didn't know was that even old ancestor Qing Xian himself wasn't sure if his guess was correct. Old ancestor Qing Xian did this just to let him, a descendant, go and investigate. As for Qing Yi, due to his trust in the old ancestor, he did not have any suspicions. Then, old ancestor Qing Xian laughed and said, "You've already scouted this planet, so go ahead and find the planet's overlord. It's best to capture him and place a spiritual sense restriction spell on him so that he can become your slave. In this way, we can explore the opportunities on this planet without any worries. If there's no other way, we can kill him, but we must kill him quickly. We can't give him a chance to send a message to the Tao Alliance Heavenly Court. Anyway, this is a barren planet. Very few people set foot here. We also have a chance." As he said this, suddenly, "Someone's coming." Qing Ye's expression changed. A flying ship was shuttling through the starry sky not far away. "There's a flying ship. It's Jiang Ci," Qing Yi said again. His spiritual sense had discovered the figure on the flying ship. "My disciple, Hu Yan, is also there. It seems that he has really betrayed us." Qing Ye's eyes flashed coldly. As old ancestor Qing Xian was a messenger, he couldn't use his spiritual sense to investigate. Therefore, after Qing Ye's reminder, he knew that someone was approaching this starry sky. Old ancestor Qing Xian laughed. "Ha, a mere golden core cultivator. So what if he has betrayed us? We'll just kill him together. They have a Dharma treasure like a flying ship. It seems that they have been to other planets. The overlord of this planet must be among them. You don't have to make another trip. Capture them." Qing Yi laughed too. He was full of confidence. He drove the flying ship and flew straight over, after leaving the Earth and traveling through the starry sky twice. After Hu Yan's reminder, Jiang Ci knew that the nascent soul cultivator of unknown origin took the same route as Hu Yan when he came to the Earth. In this way, he could be sure that the nascent soul cultivator was from Qing Xian's sect. He traveled along this route and soon came to the starry sky near Mars. He saw the flying ship 1,000 kilometers away. Old ancestor Qing Xian. Qing Yi. Jiang Ci's spiritual sense instantly discovered the figure on the deck of the flying ship. His expression suddenly changed. Old ancestor Qing Xian was also here. He had already learned from Hu Yan about the appearance of the nascent soul cultivators from Qing Xian's sect. Therefore, he recognized the two figures at a glance. "No." Jiang Ci was relieved again. It turned out that there was only one nascent soul cultivator's aura and old ancestor Qing Xian was just a messenger. If there was only Qing Xian's sect's chief, Qing Yi, there would be no problem. Seeing the other party's flying ship flying over unscrupulously, Jiang Ci, Xian Tian, and Li Baibai looked at each other and smiled. Then, Jiang Ci flew straight out of the formation enchantment of the flying ship and stood in the starry sky, waiting for the other party's arrival. He wanted to face the other party head-on. Xian Tian and Li Baibai were even calmer. They were not worried at all. Hu Yan, Chu Zhe, and Qiu Hong were also full of confidence in their master. Soon, the two sides met. Qing Yi also flew down from the flying ship and stood in the starry sky. Old ancestor Qing Xian had not finished his message. His figure was still on the deck of the flying ship, watching the battle. He wanted to see Qing Yi defeat the enemy with his own eyes and master the opportunity of this planet. At this time, Qing Yi frowned slightly. He suddenly realized that he could not see through Jiang Ci's cultivation. When he was 1,000 kilometers away, he used his spiritual sense to check Jiang Ci's aura. He was still at the late stage of golden core. But now, Jiang Ci's aura was a bit hazy. There were only two possibilities for this situation. One was that Jiang Ci had reached the full nascent soul stage, and his control of the nascent soul stage's spiritual power had reached the extreme. Only those in the nascent soul stage could detect it. The other possibility was that Jiang Xi had reached the nascent soul stage. Impossible. It's only been 3 years. Qing Yi directly denied these two speculations. 3 years ago, Hu Yan mentioned to him several geniuses on Earth, and Jiang Xi was one of them. He knew that Jiang Xi was still at the golden core stage 3 years ago. Thinking of this, Qing Yi was relieved. He did not put Jiang Xi in his eyes, and then directly used his spiritual sense to transmit his voice to the flying ship behind Jiang Xi. Hu Yan, why did you betray us? Because Master treats me better. Hu Yan chuckled and just said a simple sentence. Chapter 293. Master. Qing Ye's expression changed, but before he could react. However, he heard a burst of laughter from Jiangxi's telegnosis ability. Forget about reminiscing about the past. Your Qing Xian sect is always thinking about grabbing the fated chances of your disciples. You want to do something good without risking anything. It would be strange if people don't rebel. Kid, how dare you humiliate my Qing Xian sect? Qing Yi was furious. A blood-red battle saber appeared in his hand. The saber was suffused with a thick blood-red light as it slashed towards Jiang Xi. At the same time, the blood territory spread out in the starry sky. The monstrous blood qi seemed to be able to corrode one's soul. This was a complete Tao territory. An invincible nascent soul stage technique. Ha, good timing. Jiang Xi was not afraid at all. His body flickered as if he had penetrated through space. In the next moment, he had crossed hundreds of miles. The upper-grade spiritual weapon, Killing Shadow Sword, condensed a thin and misty sword shadow. It was accompanied by a layer of blade-like wind and blazing fire. 3 layers of Daoist arts suddenly stabbed out. This sword instantly defeated Qing Ye's blood-red saber light. In the universe's vacuum, there was only a dazzling explosion of light, but there was no sound. It was extremely strange. What? Impossible. Qing Ye's expression changed. He was an invincible nascent soul stage cultivator. And Riverward was actually able to easily defeat his attack. What did this mean? Jiang Xi was also an invincible nascent soul stage cultivator. Nothing is impossible. Goodbye. Jiang Xi smiled indifferently. The sword's power did not decrease. It suddenly pierced through space and arrived in front of Qing Yi. This sword. Jiang Xi can't be so strong. You're not Jiang Xi. Who are you? Qing Yi was shocked. He slashed out with his saber and at the same time, his body swayed as he tried to dodge Jiang Xi's sword. Who am I? Sorry, a dead man has no right to know. Jiang Xi's voice was transmitted to Qing Ye's mind through his spiritual consciousness. Then, Qing Yi realized that his head was separating from his body, but he did not feel any pain. Strange. What a fast sword. Qing Ye's consciousness gradually dissipated. Even with his invincible nascent soul strength, he was actually unable to dodge this sword. In the end, a thought flashed across his mind. This is the primordial soul stage. You have killed a cultivator in the late nascent soul stage. Experience points plus 3,800. Jiang Xi casually swung his sword as he listened to the notification on the EXP panel. Not far away, after Qing Ye's corpse lost its inertia, it quietly floated in space and was quickly frozen by the extremely cold temperature of the vacuum. Only blankness remained in those frost-covered eyes. Until his death, he still did not know whether the person in front of him was Jiang Xi or not. Why would he have the battle prowess of a nascent soul cultivator? Nascent soul stage. Barely. Jiang Xi looked at Qing Ye's corpse with an indifferent expression. With a wave of his hand, he retrieved Qing Ye's storage magic treasure. He looked at the experience panel. Cultivation level, nascent soul, late stage 1, 06 million, 1, 5,006 million. Dao Techniques, Gale Domain, 5,000,000/5,000,000. Fire Domain, 5,000,000/5,000,000. Sword Intent, 1,000,000/1,000,000. Amplitude, 100. Deduction, 10,000 experience points per use. Cultivation Technique, Purple Firmament Sword Sutra, Peacock Visualization Experience Points, 415. 86 million. This was the result of his 2 years of cultivation, opening, and cultivation, cheating. Perfected Nascent Soul Stage. Perfected Fire Domain. In addition to the perfected Gale Domain and Sword Intent. All in all, his overall combat strength surpassed the invincible Nascent Soul Stage and barely reached the early stage Nascent Soul Stage. Of course, if he encountered a real Nascent Soul Stage cultivator, he would definitely not be their match. Even the weakest Nascent Soul Stage cultivator had a preliminary understanding of the Tao of heaven and earth. It was much stronger than a Tao domain. There are countless Nascent Soul cultivators in the Tao Alliance. Even after thousands of years, they still can't reach the invincible Nascent Soul Stage, let alone reach the Nascent Soul Stage. I improved so much in 2 years. It's not bad. Jiang Xi understood that this was mainly due to the EXP panel and his own hard work. The EXP required to reach the Nascent Soul Stage was much more than the Golden Core Stage. The early stage Nascent Soul Stage required 810,000, the mid-stage 940,000, and the late stage 1.06 million. A total of 2.81 million experience points. It might seem a lot, but with the EXP panel, it was just a matter of eating 10,000-year-old spiritual fruits. In the past 2 years, the one that consumed the most experience points was the Fire Domain. Starting from the true intent of fire, it consumed nearly 50 million experience points before it reached the Fire Domain. Then, it consumed another 5 million experience points to upgrade the Fire Domain to the perfected level. However, his experience points did not decrease. Instead, it increased. It exceeded 400 million. This was because he had killed many monsters on Earth in the past 2 years. Especially the monsters in the sea. Some of the 4 oceans on Earth often turned into a sea of blood. It could not be helped. There were too many monsters in the sea. After solving the crisis brought by the Qing Xian sect, it's time to tidy up Earth. Jiang Xi thought to himself. After all, he was the Lord of Earth. Before that, there's one more person I need to deal with. Jiang Xi focused his gaze and turned to the other flying ship in the starry sky. When he took Qing Ye's storage treasure, he did not turn off the other party's communication pearl. Therefore, old ancestor Qing Xian's voice had not disappeared yet. Jiang Xi flashed and directly penetrated the formation enchantment of the upper-grade flying ship and landed on the deck. Jiang Xi. Old ancestor Qing Xian. Both of them called each other's name to show their respect. At this time, old ancestor Qing Xian no longer treated Jiang Xi as a junior. Just now, Jiang Xi killed Qing Yi, who was invincible in the nascent soul realm. This proved that Jiang Xi was also a powerhouse at the nascent soul realm. And Jiang Xi would not underestimate this legendary cultivator in the Kanglan Star region who was known as the Blood Disciple. Can you transfer Earth to me? Old ancestor Qing Xian asked. Are you daydreaming? Earth is my hometown. If I were to buy your hometown, would you be willing? Jiang Xi sneered. No problem. As long as you can transfer Earth to me, not only my hometown planet. The Qing Xian sect and the thousands of vital planets under its control can all be used to exchange with you. Old ancestor Qing Xian was very decisive. You are really crazy. Jiang Xi sneered. In order to reach a higher realm, so what if I have to give up everything? Old ancestor Qing Xian disagreed. Then I hope the next time we meet, you can block my second sword. Jiang Xi nodded gently. You are crazy enough. Don't worry, I will not give up Earth. Old ancestor Qing Xian's eyes were suffused with a bloody light. Even through the transmission, one could feel the determination in his eyes. Then, he took the initiative to end the transmission. Because he also read Jiang Xi's determination from Jiang Xi's words. People must have something in their hearts. In old ancestor Qing Xian's heart, there was only the pursuit of becoming stronger. For this, he could give up everything. What was Jiang Xi holding? It was Jiang Daodu, it was home. Whether it was in his previous life or this life, he was born on Earth, and Jiang Dudu was his only family now. Even if Earth did not have many secrets and was an ordinary vital planet, he would not exchange it. So what if he had thousands of vital planets? If his home was gone, no matter how much he wanted in the end, his heart would only feel empty. As for becoming stronger, with the experience points panel, he would become stronger sooner or later. Chapter 294. However, Jiang Xi was not relaxed. Elder Qing Xian was still alive, which was a hidden danger. When he used his spiritual sense to detect Qing Yi and Elder Qing Xian, he found that the two of them were using the astrolabe to check the many ruins on Earth. He knew that Qing Yi must have recorded this with the astrolabe when he sneaked into Earth. In other words, Elder Qing Xian already knew the basic situation of Earth. Earth. What secrets does it have? Jiang Xi smiled bitterly. After reaching the nascent soul stage, he had almost turned Earth upside down in the past 2 years. He was even more thorough than Qing Yi. Therefore, he knew everything about the relics on Earth. Taoism, Buddhism, ghost race, demon race, sea race, and so on. He even found some traces of the Sword Gate in Shu Mountain Prefecture. Combined with the myths and legends that had been passed down since ancient times in the Xia Empire, Jiang Xi felt that the veil covering Earth was getting thicker and thicker. The stronger he was, the more he could sense the horror hidden in the mystery. No matter what, Earth must not be exposed. Since Elder Qing Xian has his eyes on Earth, he will not give up until he reaches his goal. He will not easily reveal the situation of Earth, unless he really feels that there is no hope. I have to find a way to deal with this threat. After returning to Earth from the starry sky near Mars, Jiang Xi was still thinking about this problem. Unfortunately, he did not know where Elder Qing Xian was. According to Hu Yan, Elder Qing Xian had left Qing Xian sect 2,000 years ago and his whereabouts were unknown. He did not even appear when Qing Xian's sect was in danger. Of course, even if he knew where Elder Qing Xian was, he was no match for him. It seems that I can only rely on the heavenly court of the Tao Alliance. After Jiang Xi made up his mind, he did not hesitate and directly went to planet Sung Lan through the interstellar teleportation array of the first moon. At the Tao Alliance building in Linhai City, he found the law enforcement department of the Tao Alliance's planet Sung Lan office. Then, he handed in the relevant evidence that he had sorted out. As the Lord of Earth, someone had broken into his territory and attacked without restraint. This kind of banditry was extremely vile. As the intruder, Qing Yi, had already been killed by him. Therefore, he was requesting the heavenly court of the Tao Alliance to arbitrate Patriarch Qing Xian and the Azure Mystic sect. The Tao Alliance had decreed that private territory was sacred and inviolable. In just half an hour, 1 late-stage primal divinity cultivator and 10 nascent soul cultivators formed the Tao Alliance's enforcers of the heavenly court. He left through the Linhai City's teleportation hall. His destination was the Tianshan Galaxy where the Qing Xian sect was located. Such a commotion alarmed many experts on the Blue Planet, because it had been over 1,000 years since they had seen such a scene. The Ashen Blue Planet was a 6th-rank planet, which was why the heavenly court of the Tao Alliance stationed here were all quite powerful. The strongest law enforcer that was stationed there was named Earth. He was a late-stage essence soul cultivator. Something that could make Earth personally enforce the law was definitely not simple. His opponent might also be a primordial spirit cultivator. All of a sudden, all the cultivators above the primordial soul stage stopped their closed-door cultivation and focused on this matter. Jiang Xi hadn't expected this either. All he had done was make a request. He hadn't expected the Tao Alliance's heavenly court to send out such a powerful force. A late-stage essence soul cultivator had actually appeared. This was already an expert on the same level as the sect master of the Zhangyin sect. In a situation where Tao integration cultivators' whereabouts were unknown, late-stage essence soul cultivators could be said to be the strongest in a galaxy. They should be wary of Patriarch Qing Xian. Jiang Xi wasn't sure. However, he felt that this wasn't the reason. Although Patriarch Qing Xian had a record of killing primordial soul cultivators, his actual cultivation was still at the perfected nascent soul stage. Under such circumstances, they only needed to send out a primordial soul cultivator. There was no need to send out a late-stage essence soul cultivator. Jiang Xi couldn't figure it out no matter how much he thought about it. He tossed this question to the back of his mind. No matter what the reason was, now that a late-stage essence soul cultivator had appeared, he might be able to get rid of Patriarch Qing Xian. Actually, Jiang Xi didn't know that this involved a secret from 2,000 years ago. Back then, the early-stage essence soul cultivator that Patriarch Qing Xian killed was Eartha's younger brother. After Patriarch Qing Xian did this, he immediately fled to another galaxy and hid in an unknown barren galaxy. His whereabouts were unknown. Due to the restrictions of the Tao Alliance, the enraged Earth couldn't casually destroy the Azure Mystic sect that Patriarch Qing Xian had left behind. The Azure Mystic sect was one of the top 10 immortal Tao sects in the Pale Blue Star region. He was the strongest cultivator of the Tao Alliance's heavenly court stationed in the Pale Blue Star region. If he made a move, it would definitely cause a huge commotion and bring about punishment from the Tao Alliance's heavenly court. Therefore, he could only endure it. At the same time, he would search for Patriarch Qing Xian's traces. And now, Jiang Xi had provided him with an opportunity. The Azure Mystic sect had committed a crime. Even after 2,000 years, he wouldn't forget such a deep blood feud. The Heaven Mountain Galaxy was a famous and prosperous galaxy in the Pale Blue Star region. The Azure Mystic sect controlled 6 vital planets here, which were also their headquarters. On this day, the cultivators on these 6 vital planets were massacred. The perpetrators were the law enforcers of the Tao Alliance's Heavenly Court office in the Pale Blue Star region. Nearly 300,000 cultivators, from the spirit vessel to the golden core to the nascent soul stage, were killed. Not a single one was spared. The planet where the Azure Mystic sect's headquarters was located was even split apart by Earth's 3 axes. Lava erupted from the planet's core, turning the entire planet into a purgatory. The Azure Mystic sect was destroyed. Soon, the news spread. Countless powerful vital planets in the Pale Blue Star region were in an uproar. The Azure Mystic sect was one of the top 10 immortal Tao sects in the Pale Blue Star region. Although it had only been established for 3,000 years, forefather Qing Xian's strength was widely acknowledged in the Pale Blue Star region. Many cultivators knew about the secret incident 2,000 years ago. They were aware of the grudge between Earth and forefather Qing Xian. Therefore, some people accused Earth and the enforcers of being cruel and merciless. Some even reported to the Heavenly Court and asked for Earth's punishment. However, when the enforcers announced that the Azure Mystic sect had trespassed on someone else's territory and almost killed their lord, all the cultivators in the Pale Blue Star region were furious. In an instant, the angry voices of accusation disappeared without a trace. The Azure Mystic sect had violated the Tao Alliance's laws. Jiang Xi's mountaintop manor in Linhai City on the Pale Blue Star had been named Daoda Manor by Jiang Dudu. After submitting the application at the Tao Alliance building, Jiang Xi returned here. When he heard that the Azure Mystic sect had been destroyed and that nearly 300,000 cultivators had been implicated, he was shocked. Jiang Xi was very calm. His expression did not change at all. However, he was a little disappointed. Because just now, the enforcers of the Tao Alliance had sent him a message. They searched the entire Heaven Mountain galaxy but could not find forefather Qing Xian. What a ruthless person. He did not even react when his base was destroyed. Looks like I can only deal with all changes by sticking to the status quo. Jiang Xi shook his head. No matter where Earth would go in the future because of forefather Qing Xian, he had to work hard to improve his strength. Strength was the foundation of everything. As long as he was strong enough, he would not be afraid of anyone. Chapter 295. After the matter of the Qing Xian sect came to an end for the time being, Jiang Xi took the time to take a look at the development of the Mountain Sea Star trade. The headquarters of the Mountain Sea Star trade was set up on a floating island in the sea next to Linhai City. The overall development in the past 2 years was good. This was because the Wen siblings had a deeper understanding of their ancestral refining inheritance. With their core technical guidance, the spiritual weapons refined by the refiners were mostly of excellent quality. With such an advantage, the business of the Mountain Sea Star trade had expanded to hundreds of life galaxies in the Pale Blue Star region. Of course, the main business was still low-grade spiritual weapons. Not to mention the low cost, the main reason was that the number of low-grade cultivators was the largest, and the market was large. The turnover of the Mountain Sea Star trade has increased from the initial 1 million low-grade spiritual crystals to the current 80 million low-grade spiritual crystals. Our farthest station has developed to the Orph Galaxy in the Pale Blue Star region. Shen Wanxi, the general manager of the Mountain Sea Star trade, proudly introduced the latest development of the group to Jiang Xi. Jiang Xi listened to Shen Wanxi's introduction and nodded slightly. His expression was indifferent, but his heart was shocked. In the past 2 years, he had been busy dealing with the Qing Xian sect and did not pay much attention to the development of the Mountain Sea Star trade. He did not expect the Mountain Sea Star trade to develop so quickly. The total turnover in 2 years had increased by 80 times. The 80 million low-grade spiritual crystals turnover, after deducting all expenses, had at least 60% of the net profit, which was almost 50 million low-grade spiritual crystals. And he had half of the shares in the Mountain Sea Star trade, which was 25 million low-grade spiritual crystals. Back then, he had only invested 500,000. The spiritual weapon trade was indeed a top industry. This was robbery. However, the main contributor to the rapid development is Jiang Ji's 2 grand disciples. Now, the refiners of the Mountain Sea Star trade are almost treating them as grandmasters. He is being treated like a master craftsman. Shen Wanxi praised again. Well, not bad. Jiang Xi nodded lightly. He thought to himself, the refining inheritance of the Wen siblings was passed down by a Dao reunion expert. How can it be bad? Next, Jiang Xi looked around the headquarters of the Mountain Sea Star trade. He found that the Wen siblings were seriously guiding the refiners, so he did not disturb them. He left with a satisfied mood. With the Mountain Sea Star trade as a cash cow, he would not have to worry about the resources he needed for cultivation. Shen Wanxi respectfully sent Jiang Xi to the door until he could no longer see Jiang Xi's figure. Only then did he turn around and go back. As for the changes in Jiang Xi's cultivation, he didn't even ask. Firstly, he had to be polite and not pry into other people's cultivation. Secondly, in his opinion, Jiang Xi might have originally been in the late nascent soul stage, but he didn't show it before. Otherwise, it would have been very difficult for Jiang Xi to survive the Dao integration inheritance incident on Murong planet a few years ago if he had only been at the golden core stage. Only those in the late nascent soul stage could escape unscathed from such a situation. No matter what, Shen Wanxi now felt that he had made the right decision to meet Jiang Xi outside the teleportation hall on planet Sanglan. This mysterious and noble descendant of an ancient family casually gave him a hand. From a small interstellar merchant, he had become an elite among the interstellar merchants. However, he knew that he was still far from being a big interstellar merchant. Therefore, he had to hold on tightly to Jiang Xi's thigh. Sooner or later, he would also become a big interstellar merchant. At night, when Yoxin and Wen Feng returned to Daoda Manor. During the day, they were guiding the artifact refiners. After learning that Jiang Xi had come to planet Sanglan, they immediately returned. Greetings, Uncle Granduncle. The Wen siblings bowed. No need to be so polite. Let me ask you, is Shenwanxi reliable? Jiang Xi asked directly. When Yoxin and Wen Feng looked at each other. Then, Wen Feng said, based on my observations over the past 2 years, there are no problems at the moment. He's doing his best. He used to be the head hunter of the dark net on planet Murong and was good at gathering information. Naturally, he also had the ability to recognize people. Jiang Xi nodded slightly relieved. After all, the Mountain Sea Star trade was developing better and better, and the business side was in Shenwanxi's hands. If it wasn't reliable, it would be easy for the Mountain Sea Star trade's vitality to be greatly damaged. Jiang Xi circled around in his heart, looking for an opportunity to make sure. It was not that he didn't trust others, but he had to be vigilant. However, after thinking for a while, he said to the Wen siblings, don't forget about cultivation. After all, cultivation is the foundation. The art of artifact refinement can be studied slowly. Don't worry, Uncle Granduncle. In fact, the Wen family's artifact refinement inheritance and cultivation complement each other. The higher the attainment of artifact refinement, the faster the improvement of cultivation. When Yoxin smiled. This surprised Jiang Xi a little. With a thought, he immediately searched for the inheritance memories of his master, Taoist Gu. Sure enough, he found the introduction of the Wen family inheritance and it did mention this. Jiang Xi sighed in his heart. It was indeed a Dao integration inheritance. Then, he flipped his hand and took out a jade slip with a smile. Yoxin, this is a formation inheritance that I've sorted out. Take it and study it. Don't spread it. Ah. Thank you, Uncle Granduncle. I swear to the heavens that I will never spread it. Otherwise, I'll be struck by lightning. When Yoxin was very surprised and swore repeatedly. Jiang Xi smiled. He had promised to give Wen Yoxin the formation inheritance 2 years ago on Murong planet. The array formation inheritance in this jade slip was also carefully selected by him from his inherited memories. In total, it was less than 1% of the entire formation inheritance. However, if this 1% was spread, it would cause a great disturbance in the entire Blue Star region. Jiang Xi and Jiang Daodu would only be alone after the Wen siblings had left for the manor's side courtyard. Jiang Daodu was also working hard on her cultivation. With the guidance of a Dao integration remnant soul, the little girl's cultivation progress was faster. If she didn't count the 3 hibernation upgrades, her current cultivation speed had increased by at least 10 times. Just now, when Jiang Xi was talking with the Wen siblings, Jiang Daodu was also listening. She said with a serious expression, "Brother, let me manage the Mountain Sea Star trade." Manage it? Don't joke around. You're only 20 years old. The employees of the Mountain Sea Star trade are at least 100 years old. They're all very smart. Jiang Xi shook his head, don't look down on me. I'm only 20 years old, but I have old Yin by my side. She's an old demon who has lived for more than 10,000 years. Jiang Daodu wrinkled her nose. Jiang Xi's eyes lit up. He had forgotten about this. With the tool refinement skills left behind by a Dao integration stage powerful being, he had no doubts about the future of the Mountain Sea Star trade. However, in the current Mountain Sea Star trade, only Wen Yoxin and Wen Feng could be considered as his own people. It was fine if the scale was small now, but if it grew larger one day, he wouldn't feel at ease without a reliable person to rely on. If Jiang Daodu took over the management, there would be no problem with Yin Tianqing's guidance. An old demon who had lived for more than 10,000 years had many tricks up her sleeves. Controlling an interstellar trading group would be child's play. Thus, the two of them happily made a decision. Jiang Daodu was naturally very happy. She cheered like a child who had received her favorite toy. This scene made Jiang Xi's eyelids twitch. He was considering whether to take back his previous decision. Chapter 296. In the end, Jiang Daodu stayed on planet Sanglan and became the chairman of Shanghai Star Trade. She did not return to Earth with Jiang Xi, because she had her own considerations. Seeing that Jiang Xi's strength was increasing faster and faster, she would soon be unable to see Jiang Xi's back. Jiang Daodu did not want to chase after Jiang Xi all the time. She also wanted to help Jiang Xi do something. The appearance of Shanghai Star Trade gave her a chance. She decided to develop Shanghai Star Trade with the help of Old Yin and become a powerful help on Jiang Xi's cultivation path. And Jiang Xi returned to Earth, because there were still many things to deal with. For example, solving the monster problem that had plagued humans on Earth since the recovery of spirit energy. Counting the time, this problem had existed for a full 110 years. New Moon Year 99, December 31st. Today was the day that the fate of Earth would be changed. Earth, Xia Kingdom, Xiantian City. On this day, a shocking scene took place. After the recovery of spirit energy, only the top powerhouses of the 5 major countries flew in the air and gathered here. This was only secondary. What was even more shocking was, 10 terrifying great demon figures flew in the sky. They were the dragon python, black turtle, white crane, and lion king on land. The dragon whale king, octopus king, tiger shark king, seahorse king, turtle king, and crocodile king in the ocean. They were all at the golden core stage. If they did not know that the powerhouses of the 5 major countries had arrived at Xiantian City, everyone would have thought that the monsters were about to attack Xiantian City. At this time, in the largest conference hall of Xiantian City, there was a long, wide table. The cultivators of Xia Kingdom were led by Jiang Xi and Huang Kuan. Xiantian and Li Baibai sat on the left and right sides of the table. On the left side of the long table, there were 6 golden core cultivators of the reclusive families, the Qin family, Shu Jia, Han family, and so on. Even the zombie Ma family's ancestor had come. On the right side of the long table, there were 4 golden core cultivators of Peacock Country, Shadow Country, Sacred Alliance, and Alpha Star. Among them, the gold core stage cultivator from the Alpha Star only broke through last year. The 4 of them frowned, feeling a little uneasy. He didn't know why Jiang Xi, who had been in seclusion for 3 years, suddenly summoned everyone. Last time, Jiang Xi's invasion drill had already scared them out of their wits. Today, I've gathered everyone here to discuss some matters with the great demons. But before that, we humans on Earth need to unify our battle lines. Jiang Xi knocked on the table and paused to attract everyone's attention. Let's put it simply. From today onwards, the Earth Alliance will be established. With my Xia Kingdom as the leader, it will be called the Great Xia Alliance. Does everyone agree or disagree? Jiang Xi smiled. His voice was soft but domineering. His gaze swept over the golden core cultivators of the hidden families and the other 4 countries. I have no objections. Huang Kuan was the first to speak. Among the people present, his cultivation was the lowest. He was only at the spirit nourishment stage, but he represented the Great Xia Kingdom. Agreed. Xiantian smiled. Agreed. Li Baibai also smiled. Agreed. Agreed. None of the 6 golden core cultivators of the hidden families objected. After all, they were also from the Great Xia Kingdom. Even the late-stage golden core elder of the Ma family agreed. It was as if Jiang Xi wasn't his enemy at all. In fact, the elder of the Ma family was now very afraid of Jiang Xi. He had lived for 1,000 years and had a keen sense. He could faintly feel a terrifying aura from Jiang Xi. Nascent soul. His stiff face was also filled with horror. He was scared. The only ones left were the 4 foreign golden core cultivators. They could be said to be the pillars of the 4 countries. They were the fundamental guarantee of survival and deterred the monsters around the cities of their respective countries. Facing Jiang Xi's overbearingness, the 4 of them only felt extremely bitter in their hearts. They knew that this day had finally come. The cultivators of the Great Xia Kingdom were too strong. They couldn't catch up at all. Instead, the gap between them was getting bigger and bigger. Agreed. Everyone gritted their teeth and spat out these 2 words with difficulty. Very good, you will soon cheer for this decision. Jiang Xi chuckled. Bullshit. The 4 foreign cultivators squeezed out a smile on their faces, but they were cursing in their hearts. At this moment, Jiang Xi stood up and walked out. Let's go out and meet those great demons. Everyone followed. In the sky above Xiantian City, the 10 great demons were still hovering in the air. The great demons didn't know what Jiang Xi's purpose was. Because of the previous invasion of the foreign enemy, the dragon python and the black tortoise had witnessed Jiang Xi's strength. Under the propaganda of the 2 of them, the other great demons basically knew how terrifying Jiang Xi was. Therefore, they didn't dare to make a move now and could only wait here. Of course, there was also a great demon who was impatient. The tiger shark king from the Atlantic Ocean was tyrannical by nature and had been waiting anxiously for a long time. The dignified king of the billions of sea monsters was actually waiting here for a small human. Moreover, he was being watched by these humans. The tiger shark king's aura was getting stronger and stronger, wanting to erupt. After the dragon python and the black tortoise tried to persuade him, they found that it was useless and ignored him. They knew that this demon was courting death. In fact, the tiger shark king lived in the depths of the Atlantic Ocean all year round and didn't pay much attention to the human cultivation world. Therefore, he didn't know how terrifying Jiang Xi was. What's more, he had always regarded humans as food. Even with the reminder of the dragon python and the black tortoise, he didn't believe that humans could be so strong. Everyone was at the gold core stage. Why was he so powerful? Whoosh! A total of 14 human cultivators appeared in front of them. Huang Kun was at the spirit nurturing stage and couldn't fly yet. However, with Jiang Xi's Gale domain, it didn't matter if he couldn't fly. Roar! Humans, what do you want to do? The tiger shark king roared with an aggressive aura. Jiang Xi frowned slightly, thinking that today was a friendly negotiation. He relaxed his brows. Then he smiled and said, I want to discuss the future of humans and monsters with you. In short, I want you to move with the monsters on Earth. Move? My home is in the Atlantic Ocean, where do you want me to move to? The tiger shark king's tone was very aggressive. Jiang Xi smiled, I have prepared 4 grotto heavens for the monsters on land. As for the monsters in the sea, I have prepared a little more, a total of 6 grotto heavens. Each of these grotto heavens is enough to meet the normal survival needs of 100 million monsters. My request is, except for ordinary creatures, all the evolved and mutated monsters must move into these 10 grotto heavens. And you 10 gold core stage demons, speaking of this, the tiger shark king suddenly said angrily, Human, you are courting death. You actually want to lock us up. Jiang Xi's face turned cold, noisy. He directly slapped with his palm, and the gale domain swept over with a whistling sound. Roar! What? The tiger shark king swung his tail and wanted to escape in horror. Crash! But how could a little early gold core stage escape from Jiang Xi's attack? In just an instant, he was crushed by Jiang Xi's palm. Chapter 297. The early gold core stage tiger shark king, after refining and condensing his spirit power, his huge body was still 10 feet long. At this time, it instantly turned into a pile of flesh and blood, mixed with crushed bones. But it did not fall, strange and terrifying. This scene stunned everyone and the demons. They couldn't believe it. Even the early gold core stage great demon couldn't withstand Jiang Xi's palm. How powerful was Jiang Xi? The eyes of the four foreign practitioners were filled with terror, lingering fear, and relief. They finally understood why Jiang Xi said that they would cheer for his decision. It turned out that disagreeing meant death. The 6 gold core stage cultivators of the reclusive family also looked at each other with a wry smile and helplessness. The protagonist of this era was not them after all. But the 3 in front of them, Jiang Xi, Xian Tian, and Li Baibai. Jiang Xi ignored the shock of these people and demons. He waved his hand and put the Tiger Shark King's flesh and blood essence into a new storage ring. Then he handed it to Huang Kun and smiled, "Elder Huang, with so much gold core stage flesh and blood essence, it is estimated that it can be used to cultivate several spirit-nurturing stage martial artists for the military. Keep it well." "Ha, is there such a good thing? I think it's better to kill all these great demons." Huang Kun's eyes lit up. The 9 gold core stage great demons including the dragon python and the black tortoise were so scared that their bodies trembled. Of course, Jiang Xi couldn't really kill them. Keeping these great demons was still useful. When he explored the earth before, he had already figured out the distribution of the earth's monsters. The monsters on land and in the sea were added together, not counting those ordinary creatures that had not evolved and mutated. The number of F-class and above monsters exceeded 1 billion. 10 Grotto Heaven secret realms. Now that the Tiger Shark King was dead, there were only 9 left. It was more than enough to put all these monsters in. These gold core stage great demons, as the kings of the earth's monsters, played a leading role. Well, it was equivalent to letting the gold core stage great demons help him manage the huge monster group in disguise. After the monsters moved in, Jiang Xi would set up a sealing array at the entrance of these Grotto Heaven secret realms with his current attainments in formations. The sealing formations that he had set up were already sufficient. Next time, when the level of the array formation improved, he could just reinforce it. After all, the most powerful monsters on Earth were these few Golden Core realm monsters. Then, the 9 Grotto Heavens were divided into different levels of difficulty. They were simply named from the first secret realm to the 9th secret realm. The overall strength of the monsters living there increased accordingly. In the end, the Great Xia Alliance, which he had forcibly formed, was formed. With the Great Xia Kingdom as the leader, they would establish a global martial arts association and establish a more perfect martial artist nurturing system. For example, he wanted to establish more college of martial arts and make the competition more reasonable. As for the 9 great secret realms where the monsters were sealed, they became the training grounds for human warriors. As for whether it was too extravagant to give these Grotto Heavens and secret realms to the monsters, Jiang Xi had already considered this beforehand. After his careful investigation of Earth, he found that there were more than 100 Grotto Heavens and secret realms of various sizes. As for these 9, he had checked them multiple times. They weren't very valuable. Even if they were valuable, he had already taken them away. For example, the Grotto Heaven secret realms in the 6 seas were all left behind by the oceanic race. They had long been empty. The 9 Grotto Heavens and secret realms also had one thing in common: they were large in size. The size of each secret realm was at least comparable to the Great Xia Kingdom. 2 of them were even comparable to the entire Asian continent. In this way, when human warriors went in to train, the situation was similar to when they were training in the wilderness. Jiang Xi had once imagined that he could slaughter all these monsters and turn them into experience points. However, after thinking about it, why kill them all? Couldn't he just raise them? Then, he could keep these monsters and use them as sparring partners for the human warriors on Earth. After all, only by going through battles could one become stronger. In the more than 100 years since the recovery of spirit energy, the human warriors on Earth had gone through this. It could be said that Earth was Jiang Xi's foundation. Only when Earth's overall strength was stronger and more powerhouses appeared could Earth not be afraid of the changes that might occur in the future relying on him alone. History had proven that at any time, when a force could only rely on one person, it would decline and even perish. In the following year, the monsters on Earth carried out a great migration, and the human warriors also carried out a great integration at the same time. No matter when or where, there was no escape from the four words, the strong are respected. Jiang Xi's strength was enough to crush all the warriors and cultivators on Earth. No one dared to object. Even if there would only be one result. Death. Those who submit to me will prosper, and those who oppose me will perish. This was the eternal truth. While Earth was undergoing these changes, Jiang Xi did not leave. He wanted to see the completion of these changes with his own eyes. During this period, he once again explored several important places. For example, Mount Tai, Mount Yi, and so on. Unfortunately, with his current strength, he couldn't find anything even after using his spiritual awareness to explore inch by inch in these places. Other than the slightly richer spirit energy, there was nothing else unusual. Perhaps, my strength is not enough. Or perhaps, there really is nothing left. Jiang Xi knew very well that these places, which had left a lot of color in myths and legends, were not as simple as they seemed on the surface. In addition to the ones on Earth, he also explored the two moons. The first moon was still dead silent and incomparably bleak. The dilapidated Guanghan Palace and the interstellar teleportation array told of the endless years here. Jiang Xi originally thought that with his current combat strength that had barely reached the early stage of the Essence Soul Realm, he could touch the second moon that seemed to be in another time and space. Unfortunately, when he flew to the starry sky where the second moon was, it was still empty. Only his eyes could see it, but he could not touch it, nor could he touch it. His spiritual consciousness could not discover it either. The brand new Guanghan Palace was magnificent, as if there was a faint immortal sound echoing in this starry sky. This moon that had started the recovery of Earth's spirit energy once again revealed its mysterious veil to Jiang Xi mysterious. There is only one conclusion. I am still too weak. Jiang Xi smiled helplessly. If he wanted to unveil these mysterious veils, he still needed to continue to work hard and cultivate. His cultivation had already reached the peak of the nascent soul realm. Among the three major Tao techniques, the Gale domain and the Fire domain had also reached perfection. Only the Sword intent had been lagging behind. Now, if he wanted to improve his strength again, there were two ways. First, through the Sword intent and the Purple Cloud Sword scripture, he could deduce a higher level of the Sword domain. At that time, his strength would be greatly enhanced, and his actual combat strength might be able to surpass the early stage of the Essence Soul Realm in one fell swoop. After all, the Sword domain was one of the top Tao domains. In the perfect state, it was comparable to an ordinary Tao of heaven and earth that had just been comprehended. Second, he could deduce the next stage of the Gale domain or the Fire domain, the path of Gale and the path of Fire. These two rare Taos of heaven and earth, as long as he could deduce one of them. After the domain turned into Tao, he could refine his spiritual consciousness, condense his essence soul, and become an essence soul realm cultivator. Chapter 298. Taoist Ji's cultivation was already at the peak of the Tao integration stage when he was alive, and he had a very profound understanding of Tao techniques. In the inheritance memories that he left for Jiang Xi, there was also a detailed explanation of the types of Tao techniques. Simply put, the types of Tao techniques were divided into three levels: special, rare, and ordinary. In terms of power, the special level Tao techniques were naturally the strongest. For example, the Tao techniques comprehended through these weapons were all of the special level. The rare level, like the Gale and Leaf Fire that Jiang Xi had comprehended so far, belonged to this category. As for the ordinary level Tao techniques, they didn't seem to match Jiang Xi's status. Then, Jiang Xi compared the two paths in front of him. Under the premise of perfection, the Sword intent spirit power amplitude is 20 times, while the Gale intent and Leaf Fire intent are 10 times, a difference of 2 times. After the Gale domain and Li Fire domain are perfected, the spirit power amplitude will reach 100 times. If I can deduce the Sword domain, with the lowest deduction of 2 times, after the Sword domain is perfected, the spirit power amplitude will reach 200 times. At that time, my strength will directly double. It doesn't seem like much, but in a battle between experts, sometimes a difference of 0.01 times can determine the outcome. The spirit power amplitude of Tao techniques couldn't be stacked, and he could only choose the highest one. Jiang Xi had already confirmed this point. If I can deduce the Gale Dao or Li Fire Dao, according to the previous 10 times advancement law, when these 2 Dao techniques of heaven and earth are perfected, they can provide a spirit power amplitude of 1000 times. Obviously, the second path has higher benefits, but the difficulty of deduction is definitely greater. Jiang Xi's eyes flickered as he thought quickly. The benefits were average, and the deduction difficulty was low. The benefits were high, and the deduction difficulty was high. Which path should he choose? After thinking about it, he shook his head and smiled. Is it just to consume more experience points? I'll just walk both paths. Therefore, when the great changes on Earth occurred, Jiang Xi also began his deduction path. Killing monsters, gaining experience points, and deducing Tao techniques. Although the monsters on Earth were moving, it was obvious that as they moved, there were much fewer monsters. Time passed, and in the blink of an eye, a year had passed. New Moon Year 101, January 5th. According to Jiang Xi's plan, Earth had finally completed its first major change. Very soon, after Jiang Xi had completed the sealing of the 9 great monster secret realms, humans would no longer be trapped in various cities. Under the guidance of the newly formed Great Xia Alliance, the humans on Earth began to unify and build new cities on the vast territories that they had recovered. Humans on Earth had finally entered a new stage. A better future. Jiangxi and Jiang Daodu flew side by side in the sky above various places on Earth, witnessing this huge construction scene that was in full swing. When he saw some teenagers in ragged clothes, they were working hard to move bricks. Jiang Dudu suddenly asked, "Brother, there won't be any more street kids in the future, right?" Compared to Jiangxi, she was the one who was truly a vagabond. No one can guarantee that. There will always be vagrants in any era. It could only be said that under the new situation, there would be fewer and fewer homeless people. As long as they are willing to work hard, they will definitely have food, clothes, shelter, and necessities in the future, Jiang Xi said with a smile. That's good. Those who don't work hard deserve to starve to death. Jiang Dudu also laughed. The vast land of Earth had once again returned to the hands of humans. With abundant resources, those who worked hard would never fall to the point of wandering again. After the new situation on Earth was basically determined. Xian Tian and Li Baibai, the 2 battle maniacs, felt bored, so they took Hu Yan to other planets in the Blue Star region to train and fight. As for Jiang Xi and Jiang Dudu, they were leisurely shuttling back and forth between Earth and the Blue Star region. Occasionally, they would go to other galaxies in the Blue Star region to have fun. The Blue Star region had tens of thousands of habitable galaxies. As for the desolate galaxy, it was hard to count and was not included. Each of the tens of thousands of habitable galaxies was at the same level as the Milky Way, covering tens of thousands of habitable planets. If the 2 of them wanted to visit all these places, with their current cultivation and lifespan, there was probably no hope. Therefore, the 2 of them did not forget to cultivate. While Jiang Dudu was cultivating, she would also control the management and development of the entire Mountain Sea Star trade with the help of Yin Tiansheng. Although Yin Tiansheng was not a business genius, she used to be a Tao integration expert after all. She stood at a different height, so she had a better view of the overall situation than Jiang Xi and the others. With her help, the Mountain Sea Star trade controlled by Jiang Dudu developed even faster. The group's spiritual artifact business rapidly expanded in the major habitable galaxies in the Blue Star region. Just like that, time passed day by day. Until one day 2 years later, something unexpected happened. In the most remote Orf galaxy in the Blue Star region. The core planet, Orf Planet, was a level 5 habitable planet. There were also nearly 10,000 habitable planets of level 4 and below. On this day, Jiang Xi and Jiang Dudu visited Orf Planet. At the same time, as the chairman of the Mountain Sea Star Trade, Jiang Dudu also had the purpose of inspecting the group's branches. 4 years ago, the Mountain Sea Star Trade's business expanded here. At the headquarters of the Mountain Sea Star Trade on Orf Planet, Jiang Dudu expressionlessly checked a jade slip with her spiritual sense. This jade slip contained the detailed account books of the Mountain Sea Star Trade in the Orf Galaxy for the past 4 years. The general manager of the station, Hirue, an early-stage nascent soul cultivator, was standing aside. At this time, Jiang Xi acted as if he was invisible and just watched quietly from the side. He found that Jiang Dudu's eyebrows raised slightly. He was very familiar with this action. The little girl was angry. Sure enough, half a day later, Jiang Dudu frowned and said, "Manager He, explain to me the situation of the spiritual artifacts entering and leaving the warehouse on White Bird Planet, Chela Planet, Yucca Planet, these 19 planets in the past 3 years." Hirue's heart skipped a beat, but his expression remained calm. He smiled without changing his expression and said, "Chairman, there are no interstellar teleportation arrays on White Bird Planet, Chela Planet, and the rest of the 13 planets. They need to use flying ships to transport spiritual artifacts. The interstellar routes from Orf Planet to these planets are filled with galactic pirates. Our caravans are often attacked." After a while, Jiang Xi and Jiang Dudu left the Mountain Sea Star Trade's headquarters on Orf Planet. "Why did you stop investigating?" Jiang Xi was a bit confused. This was not in line with Jiang Dudu's personality. Beat the grass to scare the snake and then fish. Jiang Dudu's eyes flashed with wisdom. Oh. The problems in that account book are not just limited to the 13 planets. It can be said that it's rotten to the core. The value of the spiritual artifacts involved is as high as 4 million low-grade spirit crystals. Then just send Hirue to the Tao Alliance's Heavenly Court office and deal with him according to the Tao Alliance's rules. I don't think this matter is that simple. Even if we deal with him, the root of the problem is still not solved. In the future, there will be Wang Rue, Zhang Rue, Li Rue, and so on. Then what do you plan to do? Let's go to White Bird Planet and swagger there. It's a good opportunity to inspect the place and see if there are galactic pirates there. I've never seen a galactic pirate in my life. Jiang Dudu waved her hand. Chapter 299. Jiang Xi and Jiang Daodu drove the flying ship away from Ao Fu Star and flew towards White Bird Star. Ever since he handed over the Mountain Sea Star Trade to Jiang Daodu, he did not plan to interfere. In the past 3 years, Jiang Daodu improved very quickly. Not only did her cultivation reach the middle stage of Golden Core. In the field of business, she showed outstanding talent. Now, many of the decisions of the Mountain Sea Star Trade came from Jiang Daodu. Yin Tianxing acted as a think tank most of the time, standing from a higher point of view and providing advice. So this time, Jiang Xi wanted to see how Jiang Daodu would solve such a serious business corruption. 4 million low-grade spirit crystals was already more than the entire wealth of an early-stage nascent soul cultivator. If it was not dealt with, this snowball would only get bigger and bigger. After all, the Mountain Sea Star Trade was also growing. At the same time, in a luxurious manner on Ao Fu Star, Hirue stood respectfully in front of a young cultivator. The young man's face was handsome, but it revealed a kind of feminine aura. "Young Master Yuan, they really went to White Bird Star. Not bad, you did well. From today onwards, you are the first-level manager of Flying Rainbow Star Trade. Our business in the Ao Fu Star system will also be handed over to you, and you can get 10% of the profits." The young man smiled. "Thank you, young Master Yuan. Hirue was overjoyed. Then, he asked hesitantly, young Master Yuan, what do we do next? What do we do? Of course, we kill them. They dare to steal our business, isn't that courting death? The young man said casually. Hirue was relieved. The only thing he was afraid of was Jiang Xi. It would be good if he died. Moreover, he was full of confidence in young Master Yuan's strength and methods. This young Master Yuan in front of him was called Yuan Changshua, a genius of Flying Rainbow sect. He had cultivated for less than 400 years and had already reached the middle stage of nascent soul. At the same time, he was in charge of Flying Rainbow sect's important source of wealth, Flying Rainbow Star Trade. If he could cultivate to the nascent soul stage within 1,000 years, he would have a chance to become the next sect master. As for the Soaring Rainbow sect, they were even worse. This was a top immortal Dao sect in the Kanglan Star region, second only to the Tsungyan sect in terms of comprehensive strength. As for the sect master of the Soaring Rainbow sect, he was at the late stage of the primordial soul stage and was extremely powerful. It was even rumored that there was a Dao integration stage patriarch within the sect. Therefore, with this comparison, in Hirue's eyes, the Mountain Sea Star Trade was nothing. The Soaring Rainbow Star Trade was backed by the Soaring Rainbow sect. As for the Mountain Sea Star Trader, there was only the late nascent soul stage cultivator that he had just met. Therefore, when Yuan Zhangshua found him 2 years ago, he didn't know what to do. He didn't even think about it before joining Flying Rainbow Star Trade. This time, when Hirue heard that the chairman of the Mountain Sea Star Trade Association was coming to inspect the off-planet branch, he immediately informed Yuan Zhangshua. That was why Jiang Dudu had discovered the problem with the spiritual weapon inventory. In fact, he didn't take Jiang Dudu, who was in the middle stage of the Gold Core realm, seriously. He was only afraid of Jiang Xi, who was in the late nascent soul stage, so his attitude was very respectful. Hirue was very confident that his fake account book was flawless. The problem with the spiritual weapon inventory on the 13 planets was deliberately revealed under Yuan Zhangshua's instructions. The only thing that surprised Hirue was that it only took Jiang Dudu a short time to discover this problem. He thought that this little girl in the middle stage of the Gold Core realm would take 10 days to half a month to figure it out. He didn't expect that she would discover it after half a day. No matter what, these two people with the surname Jiang are going to die. The White Bird planet was about 0.5 light-years away from the off-planet. It would take half a year to reach it if one maintained the speed of light. But there was one thing to mention here, which was what would happen when one's speed reached the speed of light. After the speed of light reaches the speed of light, one can travel to the source space, not the ordinary starry sky travel. Compared to the universe, the source space is 3,600 times smaller, 3,600 to 1. In other words, if the distance between the same two planets in the universe is 3,600 light-years, then the distance in the source space is shortened to 1 light-year. Under the condition of flying at 1 time the speed of light, one can travel 3,600 light-years through the source space in 1 year. Jiang Xi recalled in his heart. This was the information he had long learned through his inherited memories. It was just that in the past, he had always used the interstellar teleportation array to travel and had never used a flying boat for long-distance interstellar travel. It was worth mentioning that the flying boat he was using now was obtained when he killed the sect master of the Qing Xian sect, Qing Yi. It was a high-grade spiritual weapon. And the speed of a high-grade flying boat could reach 1 time the speed of light, which satisfied the minimum requirements for the source space travel. 0.5 light-years in the universe, traveling through the source space, the distance is shortened by 3,600 times. It only takes 1 hour and a quarter to reach the White Bird planet. However, Daoda's goal is to fish, so he definitely can't travel through the source space. Otherwise, where can he go to fish? Jiang Xi drove the flying boat and flew at sublight speed, slowly heading to the White Bird planet. Speaking of which, this was the first time they were traveling in the universe like this. The two of them leaned side by side and looked at the universe through the formation barrier of the flying boat. They admired all kinds of celestial bodies and felt the magic and tranquility of the universe. They didn't feel lonely or bored. It was as if such a scene wouldn't be boring for 10,000 years. A month later, they passed by a desolate galaxy. There were meteorites everywhere. There were no stars, only a few dead planets. Jiang Xi frowned slightly. After his cultivation reached the perfected nascent soul realm, the detection limit of his spirit sense had reached 1,000 kilometers. He found that a black flying boat appeared in the starry sky about 800 kilometers away. Space pirates? It was as if this flying boat had been waiting for them here for a long time. Soon, the other party arrived in front of Jiang Xi's flying boat and blocked its way. There really are galactic pirates? Jiang Daodu stood up in a flash. It's not space pirates. It seems that Helyui's problem is serious. He's on that flying boat now. Jiang Xi's expression was serious. Brother, I seem to have seen that flying boat somewhere. It seems to be Flying Rainbow Star Trade. It seems that Helyui is not only corrupt, but also a traitor. Jiang Daodu's expression turned cold. The biggest star trade group in the Blue Star region was, of course, the Blue Cloud Star Trade. And the biggest spiritual weapon trade group was the Flying Rainbow Star Trade. As the chairman of the Mountain Sea Star Trade, Jiang Daodu naturally knew about the situation of her competitors. Even if she wasn't sure whether the black flying boat was from the Flying Rainbow Star Trade, Helyui's appearance on that flying boat already explained a lot of things. Yes, the other party brought 10 Yuaning realm cultivators. It seems that it was premeditated. Jiang Xi nodded. 10 Yuaning realm cultivators? Brother, can you do it? Why don't we retreat? Jiang Daodu's expression suddenly changed. They were not space pirates. Hey, can a man say no? Jiang Xi knocked on her head. Then, he flashed through the array and appeared in the starry sky. Take the initiative to attack. Jiang Daodu looked at Jiang Xi's back. Although she was worried, she was not afraid. Because Jiang Xi was there, she didn't need to be afraid of anything. Chapter 300. At the same time, there were a total of 10 nascent soul cultivators, including Hirue. 9 of them had already left the flying ship and were charging over. The leader of the group was a late-stage nascent soul cultivator. He held a long spear and exuded a powerful aura. Uncle Chang, kill them for me. The mid-stage nascent soul Yuan Zhangshua did not leave the black flying ship. Instead, he commanded it remotely. He had already learned from Hirue that one of the 2 people from the Mountain Sea Star Trade was a late-stage nascent soul cultivator. Therefore, he brought most of the nascent soul cultivators from the Flying Rainbow Star Trade. Fortunately, great-grandfather supported me and even assigned Uncle Chang to me. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to mobilize so many nascent soul cultivators. Yuan Zhangshua seemed to be very relaxed in a situation where he could crush the other party with absolute strength. His great-grandfather was the current sect master of the Flying Rainbow sect. Uncle Chang was naturally the late-stage nascent soul cultivator. His name was Yuan Chang, and he was his great-grandfather's servant. A mere late-stage nascent soul cultivator dares to steal business from the Flying Rainbow Star Trade? He won't even know how he died. Seeing the young man with the long sword also leave the flying ship and step into the starry sky, Yuan Zhangshua smiled. The next moment. What? His smile froze. In the desolate star system densely filled with meteorites, 9 nascent soul cultivators, led by the late-stage nascent soul cultivator Yuan Chang, charged toward Jiang Xi at an extremely fast speed. Yuan Chang took the lead, his long spear like a dragon. A majestic spear shadow that was tens of thousands of meters long swept out 70% of the Dao domain. Behind him, there were 8 other nascent soul cultivators. There were early-stage and mid-stage nascent soul cultivators. Among them was the early-stage nascent soul cultivator, Hirue. The 8 of them also made their moves, erupting with astonishing energy attacks. The dark starry sky suddenly lit up. It was as if a grand fireworks party was being held. Colorful energy surged wildly and was extremely dazzling. Even the late-stage nascent soul cultivator Yuan Chang did not have the confidence to take on so many powerful attacks at this moment. Jiang Xi's expression was very calm. The gale domain around him spiraled as he flew across the sky. He flashed through the starry sky at an extremely fast speed, leaving behind afterimages. The high-grade spiritual artifact in his hand, the killing shadow sword, condensed a dark red sword shadow. Li Fire Domain Power. With a wave of his sword, a sword shadow flew out along with a gust of wind. Noiselessly, it penetrated the spear shadow that was over 10,000 meters long. The scene was extremely strange. The mighty spear shadow actually dissipated into thin air. Moreover, the sword shadow's power did not decrease. In the blink of an eye, it defeated the attacks of the other 8 people. What? Invincible nascent soul. This scene made Yuan Zhangshua's face change abruptly. He was so scared that he sat up on the deck. Then, he drove the flying boat away from this place. In the blink of an eye, it reached the speed of light. The black flying ship disappeared into the origin space. Similarly, Yuan Chang's expression changed drastically. He no longer cared about cursing Yuan Zhangshua. Instead, he looked at Jiang Xi's rapidly approaching figure in horror. Invincible nascent soul. As a late-stage nascent soul realm cultivator, he was naturally aware of the situation when a nascent soul realm cultivator attacked. Perfect control of the original infant stage spiritual energy and the power of the domain. And Jiang Xi's sword was just like that. His spirit power and domain power did not dissipate in the slightest. Completely condensed into one. Compared to that, his spear just now had a very mixed spirit power and domain power, and the degree of condensation was poor. Retreat, retreat, retreat. He roared and transmitted his spiritual sense to everyone. Without him saying, Hirue and the other original infant stage cultivators also knew. They turned and fled at top speed. Since you've come, don't leave. Jiang Xi's eyes were cold and murderous. He originally thought it was a business corruption incident, but he did not expect it to be an unruly business competition incident. It was very bad. When it came to chasing and escaping, the Gale domain had never disappointed Jiang Xi. Whoosh, the Gale domain immediately spread out, changing the vacuum environment of the universe. Up and down, within a radius of 1,000 kilometers, the gale howled, forming a spherical space. The casting range of the Dao technique depended on the detection limit of the cultivator's spiritual sense. As the caster, Jiang Xi's cultivation was already at the peak of the original infant stage. His spiritual sense could cover 1,000 kilometers. The 9 original infant stage cultivators who were running for their lives were directly trapped in the Gale domain, and their speed dropped sharply. This Dao domain, 1,000 kilometers. Invincible nascent soul indeed. And it's a wind-related Dao technique. It's over. Yuan Chang despaired. Whoosh. Like the other 8, he tried to use his strongest attack, trying to disperse the Gale domain's power that was binding them. But it was useless. Even though he had comprehended 70% of his Dao domain, he could not shake Jiang Xi's Gale domain. This was because Jiang Xi's Gale domain was a rare Dao technique, while his mystic water domain was only a normal Dao technique. Their attacks were destined to be like throwing eggs at a rock. Fellow Daoist, please spare me. I'm willing to give you all my life savings. Yuan Chang chose to beg for mercy. No need. Jiang Xi was unmoved. His figure flashed and caught up with Yuan Chang. A sword condensed again. The sword did not have any energy waves, but it faintly emitted a dark red glow, emitting a terrifying aura. I've cultivated for 2,000 years and finally reached the late stage of the original infant stage. Fellow Taoist, you are so vicious. I'll drag you down with me even if I die. Yuan Chang roared when he saw that his pleading was futile. Whoosh, the immense spiritual power of the late stage of the original infant stage surged violently. His entire body began to expand, and he was about to self-destruct. This trick again. What a joke. Only you are allowed to kill me, but I'm not allowed to kill you. Jiang Xi sneered. Whoosh. The sword stabbed out lightly, but it emitted a terrifying aura. The sword's shadow flew past, and the starry sky trembled. In an instant, it traversed a distance of 100 kilometers. It pierced into Yuan Chang's expanding body. You have killed a late-stage original infant stage cultivator. Experience points plus 3,800, boom. Boom. A violent explosion occurred in this group of meteorites. The meteorites within a few hundred kilometers shattered and turned into smaller meteorites. It was like the end of the world. In the face of such a powerful explosion, Jiang Xi only had a thought. He used the Gale domain and Li Fire domain to protect himself and Jiang Daodu, who was on the flying ship behind him. As for the 8 early and middle stage original infant stage cultivators, they were miserable. The 2 early stage original infant stage cultivators closest to him were blown to pieces by the power of the explosion. The other 6 people also suffered injuries of varying degrees. Director Jiang, please spare us. Senior, please spare us. Hirue and the other 6 people were begging for mercy. They were bound by the Gale domain and could no longer escape. Jiang Xi was expressionless. He took light steps and flashed in front of one of them. When the sword was drawn, the person died. You have killed a early stage original infant stage cultivator. Experience points plus 3,000, you have killed a middle stage original infant stage cultivator. Experience points plus 3,400, in an instant, only Hirue and another middle stage original infant stage cultivator were left. Director Jiang, please spare us. They forced me to do it. Please spare us. Hirue almost knelt on the ground and begged for mercy. Unfortunately, he was only an early stage original infant stage cultivator. He could not move at all under the restraint of the Gale domain. Forced? Jiang Xi sneered. He pressed his hand on Hirue's head. Soul search. Chapter 301. After a while, Jiang Xi returned to his flying ship. Big bro, are they people from Flying Rainbow Star Trade? Jiang Daodu walked up and asked. Yes. Jiang Xi nodded and then said, and a big fish. The early-stage nascent soul realm cultivator who drove the black flying ship away at the beginning is Yuan Zhangshua, who is in charge of Flying Rainbow Star Trade. This was the information he obtained from Helui and the early-stage nascent soul realm cultivator just now. The black flying ship was also a high-grade spirit artifact, so it would be impossible to catch up with it now. Yuan Zhangshua. No wonder. Relying on the excellent quality of our spiritual tools, our Mountain Sea Star Trade has occupied the spiritual tool market of thousands of habitable galaxies in the pale blue star region in recent years. Although I have deliberately avoided Flying Rainbow Star Trade, sometimes the information is not in place, so it is inevitable to touch the other party's market. Jiang Dudu suddenly understood. Soon, she frowned slightly, this is troublesome. We are not afraid of direct business competition, but we are afraid of the other party's tricks. We can't afford to offend Flying Rainbow Sect now. I thought you were not afraid of anything. Jiang Xi joked. I am not a fool. Flying Rainbow Sect is the second most powerful immortal sect in the Blue Star region. The current sect master is a late-stage nascent soul realm cultivator, and it is said that they have a Tao integration stage ancestor. Flying Rainbow Star Trade is the most important source of Flying Rainbow Sect's assets. If we touch their cake, it is normal for them to retaliate. But I didn't expect Flying Rainbow Sect's revenge to come so quickly. They don't follow the rules and don't give us any chance to develop. Jiang Dudu's tone was full of worry. We can give up the development of Mountain Sea Star trade first. When we become stronger in the future, we can regroup and take back the market. Jiang Xi smiled. He didn't want Jiang Dudu to worry too much. He just wanted her to be happy. Is that so? Mountain Sea Star trade is your life's work. I don't want it to decline in my hands. Jiang Dudu still didn't want to give up. As long as we can live, we will come back sooner or later. Jiang Xi smiled and comforted. All right then, but it's such a pity. Jiang Dudu was a little dejected. Jiang Xi stood on the deck of the airship and looked at the endless starry sky with a firm gaze. Of course, he also felt that it was a pity that the Mountain Sea Star trade had grown so much in just 6 short years. Their turnover had increased from 1 million lower spiritual crystals to 1 billion. It was conceivable that the Mountain Sea Star trade would become a huge interstellar trading group in the future. However, based on the current situation, they were indeed not a match for the Soaring Rainbow sect. Not to mention whether there was a Tao integration stage patriarch, just the late-stage primordial soul stage sect leader was not someone they could deal with. Not to mention, the Soaring Rainbow sect had many other experts. Just like this time, they had mobilized so many nascent soul stage cultivators, and there was even a late nascent soul stage cultivator among them. It wouldn't be surprising if another primordial spirit cultivator appeared. The Flying Rainbow Star trade under the Flying Rainbow sect was the largest spiritual artifact trading group in the Blue Star region. Jiang Xi was very clear that if the Mountain Sea Star trade wanted to develop, it would not be able to avoid them. It would inevitably come into contact with the other party's commercial market. Through this robbery, he could tell that the other party was not the kind of person who took the path of legitimate commercial competition. For the time being, he would hide as much as he could. Therefore, it was a good choice to avoid the sharp edge. When his strength increased, the Mountain Sea Star trade would have greater development. By then, he would have more resources. The people around him, Jiang Dudu, Xian Tian, Li Baibai, the Wen siblings, etc., would also have grown up and would not be afraid of the Soaring Rainbow sect. Of course, this was not something that could be done overnight. It would take 100 years or even 1,000 years. However, Jiang Xi could afford to wait. After all, he was only 29 years old. Compared to those nascent soul stage old monsters who were hundreds or even thousands of years old, he was still a teenager. After that, Jiang Xi and Jiang Dudu did not continue to fly to the White Bird planet. The two began their return journey and flew to Orf planet. They wanted to use the interstellar teleportation array there to return to the Blue Star and consolidate the spiritual artifact business of the Mountain Sea Star trade. Therefore, soon, the Mountain Sea Star trade announced a large-scale withdrawal from all life planets. This caused quite a stir in the cultivation world of the Kanglan Star region. Because the Mountain Sea Star trade had developed too quickly in the past few years, the high-quality spiritual artifacts quickly occupied the spiritual artifact market of many life planets. Many people were puzzled. What caused the rapidly expanding Mountain Sea Star trade to reduce the market? Some people guessed that it might be because of pressure from the Blue Cloud Star trade or the Flying Rainbow Star trade. There was a lot of discussion, but no one had a definite answer. The Mountain Sea Star trade did not announce the reason. Flying Rainbow Galaxy, Flying Rainbow Planet. A long rainbow hung in the sky above Flying Rainbow Planet, as if it had been there since ancient times. Yuan Zhangshua walked out of the interstellar teleportation array with a gloomy face. Previously, when he saw that it was an invincible nascent soul stage cultivator who attacked him, he quickly fled on his flying boat. After returning to Orf planet, he did not dare to stay there and directly took the interstellar teleportation array back to Flying Rainbow planet. This was the headquarters of the Flying Rainbow sect. Damn it! Damn it! An invincible nascent soul stage cultivator. I lost 8 nascent soul stage cultivators and even Uncle Chang died. Even though he was safe, Yuan Zhengshua was still furious. Those 8 nascent soul stage cultivators were the foundation of his control over the flying rainbow star trade. As for Hirue, he did not put him in his eyes. He was just a chess piece. Yuan Zhengshua knew that although his great-grandfather was the sect master of the Flying Rainbow sect, he was not the only successor. He also had competitors. The Flying Rainbow star trade was one of the most important sources of wealth for the Flying Rainbow sect. If something happened to the Flying Rainbow star trade in his hands, there was no need to think, he would not be able to become the sect master anymore. Yuan Zhengshua exuded a tyrannical aura as he flew towards the Flying Rainbow sect's sacred ground altar. This time, he came back not only because he was afraid of that invincible nascent soul stage cultivator. Because of the death of so many nascent soul stage cultivators, there were already people in the sect who wanted to kick him out of the Flying Rainbow star trade. Therefore, he had to come back and meet his great-grandfather, although his great-grandfather had not contacted him since the beginning. Uncle Chang was my great-grandfather's closest servant. Now that he died because of me, my great-grandfather will definitely be angry. Yuan Zhengshua was also very worried and uneasy. If his great-grandfather alienated him because of this, he would lose his biggest backer. Then he would really be finished. The sacred ground altar was located in the Flying Rainbow Grotto Heaven and was heavily guarded. The sect master of the Flying Rainbow sect was in seclusion here. Before Yuan Zhengshua reached the entrance of the Flying Rainbow Grotto Heaven, he restrained his tyrannical emotions and walked forward respectfully. Uncle Chu, I want to see my great-grandfather. The person guarding the Flying Rainbow Grotto Heaven was a late-stage, nascent soul stage cultivator. That person's face was cold and did not give the successor of the sect master any face. Go in. The gatekeeper formed a seal and opened the entrance of the Flying Rainbow Grotto Heaven. Yuan Zhengshua smiled bitterly in his heart. He bowed and flew in. He understood that it was because of the previous robbery. Because Uncle Chang and Uncle Chu were close friends who had known each other for more than 1,000 years. In the past, Uncle Chu was very friendly to him. Now, it had completely changed. You're tuning into the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.